have no idea when dev starts on this.
Oh, me neither. Is it now?
It can't be now. There's no way. Wait, it's coming up. Okay, hold on.
Okay.
Places.
The history of film. That Balahooey when the lights go dim. From James Cagney to Nosferatu and stunts that shock you and dirty tricks studios made. From Wings to Top Gun, movie stars and no ones. We're manic crazy fans that leave no real of fun. Hollywood is film history in Hollywood. They chase the Oscar, but it's all a sham, just like Shaq and Kazam. All your dreams can come true. Film history, the history of film. All of it made for you.
Good God, that was terrible. The future. The polar ice caps have melted, covering the earth with water. Those who survived have adapted to a new world. A water world.
Oh, God.
Film history, the history of film. This is Waterworld, everyone. I'm James Scott.
This is Drake Cummings.
This is Sailor Dev, and we got a special guest with us. Say what up, Max.
Hey, how's it going?
I specifically asked to do this episode, and then after this intro, I'm like, why did I ever ask for this?
This one was for you.
It was for me. It is for me, and I'm regretting it every second. Listen, so I had never seen Waterworld. I watched it for the first time last week, and let me tell you, this movie has no business existing. I'm so happy that this movie tanked so that they couldn't make sequels. Someone need to be punished for making this movie.
It's polarizing.
How dare you say such
exactly.
travesties?
I love it too. I love it.
movie?
I'm on Dev's side with this. I love this movie.
I have to say I like it as well.
Listen, bro, I'm a Floridian who grew up on water. Like, my whole childhood was trying to do this in real life.
Yeah,
I think the
exactly.
first 20 minutes of this movie are fucking awesome, and then the next hour and a half is the most unlikable protagonist I've ever witnessed on film,
for sure.
sitting on a raft with two other people that aren't particularly likable for so long, and nothing fucking happens on this raft. I mean, they try to make it happen. It's nothing's fucking happening on this raft.
Dude, this because the second half of the movie, they ran out of fucking money. They're like, well, the rest of this movie's going to be on one boat.
And then
that's all we can afford.
And then the last 20 minutes are kind of cool, but at that point, I just want it to fucking end. Like,
you saw the jet skis go from like 100 in the first 30 minutes to like 3 or 4 in a scene because that was all they had fucking left. They're like, we've destroyed everything. We are $75 million over budget already. It's 1994. Trying to film this movie was like World War II. Like,
really quick though, we should introduce that we have a guest this week.
Yes, we have a guest.
Would you like to introduce yourself?
Max did introduce. I said, this is Max. Max is one of my good friends. Basically family, and him and I started our first film company together over a decade ago. We've been rocking and rolling for a wee bit, and he's making a pit stop in Florida and then bumping all over to Cali and Israel and all kinds of fun stuff. So I'm happy he's here to fucking hang.
Yeah. I love talking about movies, so this will be fun.
And he loves Waterworld, so I love him.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
You made it for the most important episode we'll ever do.
One of the reasons I'm excited we did do this, Drake, is because I'm excited to talk to all you Florida water people about this movie. Because
coming from the swamp rat of fucking Mississippi over here.
Yeah, see, I had swamps. Like, if Waterworld had all been airboats, I could,
Well, okay.
That's the sequel.
Other question.
We're gonna write it today.
Swamp World. The whole world is a swamp.
Swamp World.
Water World.
The water level rose.
The
just
caps
enough
are
to where it's
freezing
just
again.
So as this series continues, I'll just continue to disappoint more and more people with my weird lack of specific knowledge.
That's okay.
I don't think I've ever seen Kevin Costner in another movie. Like I've never
Okay.
seen a Kevin Costner movie.
What? Wait a minute.
Yeah, I've never seen a movie with Kevin Costner in it.
You never
so let me
seen
ask
like
you this.
Field
This
of
makes sense to me.
Dreams, Untouchables?
No, never seen Dancing with Wolves.
Dances
Never
with
seen.
Wolves.
This
like,
is
Postman.
Drake's part of the
Yeah.
podcast. This is Drake's part
Well,
of the
let me
podcast.
ask you this: is he a good actor in anything?
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Tevin, I had to
Like,
get that.
he's had some box office movies. We'll
Yeah.
put it like that.
He's
Famous
a
movies made
big
money.
actor. He's a
to
very
be
big
honest,
actor.
He's had, I think, maybe as an actor, 2 good roles or
For
something
sure.
like that. But
In a whole
does-
career? Okay.
Dances with Wolves was
but
the
he's
shit.
Consistent box office draw for whatever
Okay.
reason. Like, dude, he went
Why?
To Cal
He is-
State Fuller- I don't know.
He
dude.
is so unlikable.
He was one of the biggest movie stars in the world
Yeah.
in like 1992.
Yeah.
Did he just not want to be on the set of Waterworld?
Oh, he was
why
the
would-
hottest. They called him, dude. Germany listed him as like the hottest man in the world, like 4 years in a row. This dude,
Whoa,
he
fuck Germany.
he fucked all of our moms.
What?
What's that, Max?
I think that it's easy. His character is easy. He's almost the same character a lot.
He looks like he works at a
Yeah.
truck stop.
He's like a guy that you know, and he's capable.
He's a guy
of
that you
doing
know.
those
It's
that
a
you
things.
guy I
wanna
don't wanna know.
Dude, you want to know what it is? You want to know what it is? It's the chest hair. It's the chest hair, man. I don't think they ever even saw his face. It was just
Everyone has chest hair.
no one ever looked up when they were looking at Kevin Costner. It was just all right here in the chest. He's tall enough. He's 6'1". You're looking right at that.
He's
bristly
the guy who invented
chest
the
hair.
phrase, "Hey, my eyes are up here."
God, it's.
Oh yeah, but no,
I'm
this
sorry. I
movie.
woke up on the wrong side of bed today, guys. I was
okay.
stuck on a boat with Kevin Costner for 2 hours. I'm not happy about it.
He wasn't happy either.
Yeah.
He wasn't happy to be there. Like the
I mean,
whole
would
movie.
you be happy if you were drinking piss water? Like,
No, and we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it, but Kevin Costner was very much not happy to be there a lot of the times. A lot of the
Okay.
times.
Maybe you'll give us the context of this. Also, I don't know where else this would fit in, so I just want to say it now. But the whole time, who's the guy playing opposite Kevin Costner?
Dennis Hopper.
You mean fucking Woody Harrelson?
no, Dennis
Yes.
Hopper.
What?
He
No,
sounded.
no.
He sounded and looked
No,
exactly
no,
like Woody
no,
Harrelson the entire time. You could.
That is blasphemy.
you
I'm gonna
could
bleep that out of this
Close
podcast.
your eyes and pretend it's Woody
We'll get
Harrelson
canceled.
and convince yourself of this.
Have you
What's
seen
that,
Speed
Dev?
Drake?
Yeah, a long time ago. Like when I was.
That
like
was
8,
the
I
role that you
remember.
might that maybe the only other association you would have with Dennis.
Well,
No,
and
like
that's-
if you close your eyes and listen to Dennis Hopper's lines being delivered, you can convince yourself it's Woody Harrelson.
Well,
I
no, and this
promise
is
you.
it's the funniest thing because that's one of the things we're going to talk about is how Kevin Costner was doing Schindler's List, and Dennis Hopper was doing like Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Let's have an intelligent conversation here. I'll talk, and you listen.
Yeah, it was like a Disney movie.
It's like, yeah,
It was like a Disney movie. Yeah.
Directed in part by Tim Burton and Ed Wood.
yeah. They,
Yeah, he was
They-
like R-rated Captain Hook. Like,
I'm convinced that they filmed those movies completely separately in separate places.
Well,
Like,
I mean, they're almost never in a scene.
they're never in a
together.
scene together. They could have done it, man. And then they just bring them to LA to film like any scenes they have together. But no, I'm really excited to talk to you guys about this. It's watercraft porn dev, so you're gonna love all this shit. We'll talk about some boat stuff in this one. I know you love that.
I know, I got some insight. Real quick on Kevin. He went to Cal State Fullerton. You know, Kevin and I are tight like that.
There you
I
go.
almost went to Fullerton, but I remember when they were giving me a tour of the campus, the kid who was like the student kid giving me the tour was telling us, "Oh yeah, there's some famous alumni." He goes, "Yeah, so and so, and he goes, "Yeah, and Kevin Costner went here." And we were all like, "Oh, okay. Did he go to be an actor? Like, because I wanted to do the theater program." And he goes, "No, he was in school business. He just chose to become an actor because he thought it was gonna make him rich." And I was like,
Yeah.
"What?
Well,
Okay."
and now he's an
That's-
activist
yeah.
of sorts, you know. Like,
Yeah, that's the most infuriating
Yeah.
thing I've ever heard in my life.
And he got rich. Kevin Costner got so rich in the 90s. Good lord.
So wait, yeah, Dev, you mentioned this in the previous podcast. Kevin Costner never wanted to be an actor.
No, he was not he was not successful at doing. He looked at his options. This is from like his biography and stuff, that when he was trying to figure out what to do, he was like, what's going to make me the most money with the least amount of work? And he was like, acting.
That's
sure.
the most infuriating thing I've ever heard in my life.
And his personality is interesting because he was a jock in high school.
He's like a baseball player, right?
Yeah, he was baseball.
This ball is crushed.
Football, basketball.
Fullerton is like famous for their baseball team.
Oh, so you do have some Kevin Costner background.
Oh, I'm gonna get into his career up until 95.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, we got a pretty thick episode today. I thought Waterworld was gonna be like, I thought Waterworld was gonna be like a throwaway, but we got some stuff to talk about here.
3 hours later.
The movie's been through a lot, so.
Dude, for real.
So has its audience.
I thought I would go over the movie just a little bit. Like, I thought I would at least just get, like, a little bit of the plot out of the way.
Yeah.
Old Kev Dog, he's navigating the hellish post-apocalyptic Waterworld on his beautiful Trimarian. His name is the Mariner. That's what they call him in the credits. Mm-hmm. And, he's got this sick boat that we're going to talk about. And, Dev, speaking of boats, though, I do want you to tell me, do people have this pee filter on their boats? Can you piss into something on a boat and filter it into water?
Nobody has it, but they do exist. They're not for boats. They're for spaceships. they're like a space station.
I'm surprised the fishing community didn't get on this after Waterworld. You know,
I'll tell you this. It definitely
tea.
Would not work in the manner that they design it in the movie.
Yeah,
like, distillation doesn't work like that. There's too much ammonia in our piss. There's not enough water, and like. It's just all riddled with problems.
Because that's what the movie starts off with. Is
they'd be better off just drinking the piss regularly.
Yeah, I mean that's what I do. That's always been my
role. Like
I
said, I was so in for the first 20 minutes of this movie, and then I just like spent the next hour and a half, 2 hours being disappointed more and more and more and more.
Yeah, it was cool as shit. It starts off with him pissing. You got a good Kevin Costner butt shot of him peeing. I know everybody loved that. And then he had this other contraption where he put all these pellets into a hopper. And it, like, slow released him, and then he ties a rope around him, jumps into the water, and then, like, a little while later that day, enough pellets collect, and the plate collapses and sets off this contraption that pulls him back out of the water, like a pulley that pulls him out. So there's all sorts of, like, steampunky elements going on here. This boat is like a boat of contraptions that this man has... maniacally built throughout the years.
Yeah, booby traps and little sneak, ways of doing things.
Which the boat is the most realistic thing in this fucking movie. Like,
do you want to talk about this boat?
Very much possible to exist,
right. And I attribute that to like one man trying to survive on his own versus being with other people. Opting to be on your own.
Right.
You have to devise these things that you're aware of, almost little booby traps and safe points, so that. You can navigate your way.
It's just like customizing your tool, because like people do this with sailboats all the time, with the catamarans that this guy has, with monohulls when they're blue water sailing, which means crossing oceans and living on it for like weeks or months at a time. They don't have harpoons, okay, but they have have like other normal shit like nets and those ropes and probably a pulley and fishing line and whatever.
Yeah. It was basically like a futuristic pirate movie. It was. He was like, like he had like harpoons and like pirate shit. Dude, can we go live on a boat for a few years? Let's go sailing, man. I want to go sail to like Mars.
If we do
Your
sailing,
takeaway from this movie is you want to live on the water?
Yeah.
Right.
I want to actually. Can we bring Kevin Costner with us?
We're fucking channeling Captain Ron. That's a Captain Ron episode.
Oh my god, I saw this. I was like, I never want to see water again.
Yeah.
The cast did not ever want to see water again after making this movie. I can guarantee you that.
Well, I'm so confused why they actually shot this. They actually shot this on an ocean.
Yeah.
Why would you not just shoot this on a soundstage full of water?
Because they wanted it to look real, man.
How are you gonna replicate that background?
They built that flotilla out there.
Yeah.
It's
that oil tanker is probably the skeleton of a real fucking oil tanker.
Yeah,
and still
for
had
sure.
its engines, and probably
Is this their first day working in Hollywood? All this is so unnecessary.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. Trust me, I'm gonna get into it.
All right.
Let's go back to the boat really quick. Trust me.
The actual movie.
I've intricately woven
I'm
a
so
Waterworld tale for you guys.
We were getting so ahead of ourselves. I apologize.
But no, the Trimaran was inspired by racing Trimarans, and this is for you and for Dev and Max over there. Built by Jeannot Advanced Technologies Multi-Hull Division Lagoon.
That's a famous manufacturer of seagoing boats. Jeannot.
Yeah. Sweet. Yeah, they built a good boat. It was a custom 60-foot yacht designed by Mark Van Petegem and Vincent Leriot Prevost, and built in France by Lagoon.
Those fucking French are the best boat builders, bro.
Really?
Yeah, man. All the best ships come out of like La Rochelle. Amels are there, Janus. There's like all of the standard ocean crossing sailing vessels. Like most of them come from the longevity of the companies. The older companies all come from France.
I did not.
Very
know that.
rarely there's like one in England, one or two in US.
Only building the boats. I don't think that was a French accent at all.
I don't know what that was. You were having a seizure.
Yeah, anyway, they built two versions, a relatively standard racing Trimaran for distance shot and an effects-laden transforming Trimaran for close-up shots. And so they used two boats. I think they at one point had another boat, but it got destroyed. But yeah, it was real boat porn in this for sure. If you like boats, I think this movie's for you, in my opinion. Especially those ski-doos, those like old rusted out ones. That was the shit.
Those were the stand-up ones, right?
Cool, yeah.
So those are called actual jet skis because it's a ski that you stand up on and you slide your foot into. Those things you sit on are called wave runners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. I see. Whoa. Dude, the things they do with those things.
Yeah, man, the underwater shit was
my
those
god,
are
the underwater
super
shit was
difficult
sick.
to drive and dangerous and all kinds of nonsense.
How do you dive?
They break down, they die. You have to go with the force underwater and you can't stay down long or they'll stall out. Like it's a lot of pain.
And you got to be just gassing that thing, dude.
You got to think it's all upper body strength.
Throttle and letting off.
You're holding on in your legs. You're not sitting on anything. You're just like bouncing and imagine being on like two skis. Almost like more like water skiing or wakeboarding because you're using your body to hold yourself up.
Dude, they filmed this movie. I mean, all in all, it took like 160 days to film this movie.
How many months is that?
And I'm just trying to think of these jet skiers like out there. They probably did that for weeks on end.
Yeah.
Like I
like
bet
4.5 months.
No, but I just mean like that first part. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
the first
The
to get
guys,
the stunt guys at the flotilla on the jet skis. I mean, that was 30 minutes of the movie or so. That took a long time. These dudes were out there day after day, countless hours, probably 12 hours a day, doing jet ski stunts. Oh my god, dude, this is a nightmare. Man. I mean, it sounds amazing. It's like Navy SEAL training, but you're definitely gonna be in shape, tan. And you're gonna sleep for about 3 months after this. Trust me.
That's the thing. I wonder where they recruited all those people with all that, to do all that stuff. Around.
Yeah,
kidding?
Boat
some
people.
fucking spring break beach in Florida.
Just go get all of them.
They're like, bro, watch me do this on the jet ski, Ed.
They're like, cool, sign this waiver so you don't sue us. We don't care.
Dude, I just smoke DMT and jet ski all day, dude. That's what I do. That's what I do. I find that salt water makes the DMT more potent.
I'll just add some bath salts in there to mirror it.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Oh, man. So...
okay, no, I'll save it to the end. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Okay. So yeah, he has that contraption that pulls him out, but if you notice, he's down in the ocean for a long time with no scuba gear, So we start to kind of think like, who is this man? Who is this leathery fish man? It's Kevin Costner. He has so his whole game is he gets dirt He sells dirt. And we don't know where it comes from yet.
Why is dirt valuable?
Yeah.
Dirt is valuable because, here, I'll go back up. It's the future. The polar ice caps have melted, covering the earth with water.
There's no land. There's
no land. There's no dry land. Dry land's a myth. Dry land's a myth. You remember? I'm going to get that tattooed for Waterworld. Dry land's a myth. I think that would be great, dude. Everybody be like, wow, bro, you got a 1995 movie quote on your body. It'd be like, the best movie ever made, bitch. But so he also had a plant on his boat, that lime plant, that lime tree, and that is also like, where'd this guy get this? You know what I mean? Where did he get a plant in a water world? You know what I mean? We'll find out on the next episode of Kevin Costner. So the movie documentary. So it does it's doing a really. I think the movie does a really good job in the beginning of setting up the whole lore of what's going on here, and then another leathery boat guy is on his boat nearby, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna rob you, man." And they talk about he tells him, there's an atoll 8 miles east or 8 days east. There's an atoll back there, and Kevin Costner's all like, well, you told me some information, now I gotta give you something. And he's like, it's the code, I gotta give you something. So we're getting some background here. There's a code on the water. I know you sailor boys over there know all about the water code, the sailor code.
Yeah, it's more like
What's
guidelines.
the sailor code? I think it's called the marine law, open waters, everything goes type of thing.
We have a code. There is no fucking code.
They have boat lawyers that just ride around on boats. And then when you guys go to court, it's just a row of boats, and there's a big judge boat on a podium,
The way we settle disputes is by playing chicken with one another.
That's boat law, baby.
The law is there's no law in the sea.
There's no law in the sea.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the beginning of this movie sets up a lot of really cool stuff. Honestly, this would be a better video game than it was a movie.
It was.
Wait, there was a video game?
It was a video game.
Yeah.
Oh no!
Did not go very well.
It doesn't sound like it would. It'd be a game now, not.
Well, Kevin Costner insisted that he make the video game himself. He might as well have. I'm surprised he didn't.
Oh
he wanted to save money. You gotta get those margins, bro.
I got this. So he's on his boat. He's talking to the other leathery boat guy about the code and all that. But then, who else arrives but the smokers? They had that guitar riff every time they showed up, dude. But so this is
the Old West.
This is the smokers. This is Dennis Hopper's crew, and these guys roam the seas and fucking badass boats, badass rusted out jet skis. They're like a Mad Max mafia motherfucking Musso and Franks. You know what I'm saying? That's next door. That's a restaurant next door. It's really good. And they're called the smokers because they smoke cigarettes. So they ride around killing people smoking cigs
is that
all
why?
day. Yeah.
The whole time I couldn't figure it out.
There's a reason behind it. We've already talked about
I thought they were called smokers because they used engines that smoke.
No, they're called. There's a part. This is why we got to watch the 3.5 hour cut. There's a part that they cut out where. So they're based on, just spoiler alerts, by the way, for anyone who's going to watch Waterworld. This is all spoilers. Go watch it before you listen to this or whatever. Or just listen to this and never watch it. Either way. But
definitely
go see
it.
Go see it. Absolutely see Waterworld. Absolutely see this movie. So Dennis Hopper and the Smokers are based on the old wreckage of the Exxon Valdez, and they call it the D's. Because the lettering has all peeled off. Yeah. And, this movie is all about global warming.
Right.
And so the Exxon Valdez is the enemy.
It's the Valdez. I didn't know that either. How the fuck is that thing holding any oil? Didn't it crash and leak
Well,
everywhere?
there's a man
That's
down
the
in the
thing.
oil pit. It was like, we got
Yeah.
four more.
Exxon Valdez is the fucking oil tanker that ran aground in Alaska in the 80s.
Yeah, that's it. And in real life, it got moved, and it, all that. But dude, this movie was written in the early '80s on a mountain of cocaine. I'm convinced. When I tell you the story of the writing, of this movie, the part that's not on Wikipedia is there was cocaine involved. Like there has to be. So the Smokers are based on the Exxon Valdez. Well, that's where they're getting all their fuel for their jet skis and shit. And that's also, they said on the Exxon, what they used to do is they would illegally carry a bunch of cigarettes on these big ships. And they would carry them from country to country and sell them off and blah, blah, blah. So the Exxon Valdez, the legend is that it was full of cigarettes. So this gang has cigarettes for years.
I was wondering that. I was like, how does cigarettes survive
yeah.
when like
Cigarettes.
nothing else this world has?
Yeah.
But they're
That's a
they're
lot of-
refining gas too, though, right?
Right, yeah, they were refining. Yeah, they had like a refinery.
So they had like a stash of cigarettes or something.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Which is-
didn't realize that. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, no, when it was a part that was cut out. Dude, I had to dig deep for that one. I had to dig deep for the cigarette thing.
right.
That's
'cause I know
fascinating.
that
Yeah,
there had
it answers
been-
a question.
So many different edits done to try to make the movie make more sense.
Yeah, to make
So
more sense. And
that's another
yeah.
thing too. Like if you haven't seen it recently, try to find the newest version to see, and it might make more sense and be better. Because
for
There's
sure.
multiple versions.
if you find the wrong version, or an older version, I guess.
Because there's a 3.5 hour one out there, and I gotta
out
see
there's
it.
some of the Snyder cut
Somewhere
of Waterworld.
there's a Snyder cut of Waterworld, and I've got to see it. But yeah, that's why they smoke cigarettes.
Where did you find that cigarette lore piece?
A bunch of people did interviews about this movie, basically. Like a lot of people.
To find out why?
Yeah, like sat down and told like war stories. Dude, there's a funny interview where Dennis Hopper sat down with Dick Cavett, and he's talking about doing this movie. He's just
There's
like
a man named Dick Cavett?
yeah, Dick Cavett. He was
Oh.
an old late night guy.
Okay.
And Dennis Hopper's talking about doing this movie, and he's just like, yeah. He's like, I'm on the most expensive movie ever made right now. And,
Was it the most expensive movie ever made
at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, at the time.
We're getting- yeah.
Yeah, this was a few years before Titanic. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. But
Spoiler-
at the
okay,
time,
let's cease the spoilers.
Okay,
Let-
so-
let the story unfold.
so the Smokers show up, and it's the first time we see him. So the leathery guy, turns out he was a piece of shit. He stole his limes while he was down in the water, and he's running away, right? And he's like, haha, your sales are down. You'll never catch me in time. By the time I'm out of here, you can't get your cells up, and the Smokers will kill you. But guess what? He fucking could, baby. Because the Cos, he just hit a bunch of switches on the trimaran. He's like boom, boom, hitting gears and switches and handles and like harpoons, and he's pulling, starboard bow. and
I
all
imagine
that
this
stuff.
was the pitch for the movie. Like this is, we're in a boardroom right now, and someone's pitching this movie.
And he's just whipping shit up on the thing, hitting the sticks.
And meanwhile,
And,
he's pitching this. He's just racking out lines on the table.
Yeah, he's like,
for
oh yeah,
everybody in
dude,
the
look,
room."
man, this boat's no ordinary boat, and this dude is no ordinary dude. You know what I mean, dude? Like,
Starboard bow.
starboard bow, dude. And he just starts like flying. He's flying towards the guy. The guy's all like, "What is this? Oh my god! Like, I'm an old seaman, and now I'm about to die." And, so the Cos just like hits his boat. He hits his little ass fucking piece of shit dinky boat with his big ass, trimaran, and he breaks his sails off, and he does the thumb across the neck like you're dead, And then the Smokers came up and killed that dude. So we're kind of So we're kind of, also though the smokers didn't even try to chase the good boat. They were just like, let's just kill this little leathery man on like the dinghy. Yeah, just take his shit. Yeah, we got one. That was like their quota. They're like, look, dude, let's just get this one. Go home.
We got the leather man.
We got the leather man. We won't even tell anyone that the bigger boat was out there. Like they don't have to know.
I feel like the smokers are like a more dumb version of a stormtrooper.
Yeah. For sure. They kind of just shoot everywhere and just go nuts. Yeah.
You don't have to tell people there's a bigger boat.
We don't have to tell people.
We're like doing tricks and having fun, trying to blow shit up.
They're like the Florida version of a stormtrooper.
We're just out here to
They're riding jet skis and blowing shit up while smoking cigarettes. Look, all they need is a 40 in their hand and it'll be fucking complete.
All these dudes are just on like they're on like Tampa Bay acid in the 90s. That's the beginning. But the guy told him about the atoll, you know. So he makes it to the atoll 8 days east, which is. That kind of gives you
it's a good scale.
The scale.
Yeah, it's a good scale,
like 8 days. That's
the atoll is that little city, right?
Yeah.
So
I was thinking about that though.
To be clear, an atoll is an actual piece of land.
Right.
It's the name of a type of an island. So I don't know why they named that thing an atoll because it's so confusing. They're like, land doesn't exist, but go to this atoll. Like that isn't that? It's like saying land doesn't exist, but go to this island over here. Like, what the fuck?
There was a lot of nicknames for stuff.
Well, so what I was thinking is like, so it's 8 days away. If you are 1 degree off of like the direction you'd be going, you're not hitting that in 8 days. In 8 days, 1 degree off, like you're gonna be like
the cost doesn't.
Everything's moving. There is no land. It's all moving.
Oh my god, it's all floating. It's all moving constantly.
The cost doesn't miss, baby.
This world is not possible.
It's not possible.
Just floating, yeah.
You have to be able to navigate.
There's nothing anchoring this fucking flotilla down.
This is a nightmare.
Without fucking technology.
Just thinking about how this really would go down.
Society would fall.
Oh my god.
There is no doing this.
I would just hope I could find the one gun left with a bullet in it.
I would be Dennis Hopper. I already don't have one.
Yeah, I would become Dennis Hopper.
We gotta keep an eye out.
But then again,
I get so seasick.
Then
now
again,
we have sophisticated satellite. I mean, if the world did flood suddenly, we would still have satellites in space and GPSs to go off of.
But this took place
Although
in 2050.
we wouldn't have necessarily things to identify that this was indeed land.
We got hit by
update the maps, I guess. That's really all that happened.
I would say this is like if Waterworld is like if a solar flare hit and the polar ice caps melted. Like there's nothing left. Remember, there was like an image of like a nuclear submarine pointed downward in between some buildings, like when they was swimming under. Remember that, right?
Or Waterworld is what happens if like every dude at a Red Sox game goes to pee at the same time. You know,
this is such a dumb idea for a movie. Continue.
So he makes it to the village, and this is where we learn about like what's valuable in this world. He makes it to this village impossibly, like you said. There's no way in hell he would ever actually make it here, but he does. He floats 8 days through completely open waters. The entire world is open water, but he finds a floating target. You're right. It's very, but the cause doesn't miss. So he makes it to the village, and he comes up to the gate, and they're all like, "Bro, we're full. You can't come in. My bad." And he pulls out this fucking bucket of dirt, and everybody's like, "Oh my god, this dude's got dirt. He's got give me the dirt." Or Motley Crue.
I was thinking about
I was like, and then Motley Crue jumps out from behind him on the boat and starts playing.
Give me what I want. Give me the dirt. So they let him in. He goes to the market, and like everyone's gathered around. They're all like, "Oh my god, we got to see this dude sell some dirt," you know. And everybody's there. And so he's like, He has 2 fucking kilos of dirt, man. This guy weighs it out. He's like 2 kilos of this precious dirt. And it turns out the price for this dirt, he's going to pay him the same as he'd pay for pure hydro, dude. Pure fucking hydro. And I came out to 124 chits, all in all, which I did the inflation calculator for that, and modern day equivalent is like only 30 chits, because this movie takes place in the future. But
Good to know that the calculator came back around.
the calculator came back in a major way on this one. Did some future calculations. So, but pure hydro is a let's see, it's
just water,
purified fresh water, of course. This was one of the elements from the original script that survived all the rewrites that happened to this thing. And in the original version, there was like a kidney-like organ that they had gotten from like a fish or something, and they would hydrate. They would purify water through it.
I was wondering that. I was wondering how they purified water in this world.
Yeah, man. See what I mean? Cocaine was involved here. Cocaine was involved here. Don't even tell me that it wasn't.
Like, there was some producer or writer around a round table being like, guys, the fish filter liver organ thing is just a little too far. We got to pull back a little bit. Let's go a little heavier on the explosions and jet skis.
Also, yeah, it is in the future. The production designer, Dennis Gassner, said they designed it for 2500 is the date, I guess. Or no, wait.
What if I was 50 years in the future?
Wait a minute.
What?
Wait a
I
minute.
was 2050.
How the fuck is there an Exxon Valdez oil tanker 500 years in the future?
Yep. Yeah, dude. Because of cocaine. Because of cocaine and Costner.
Cocaine.
Because of cocaine can make any movie come true. Because, dude, he was writing this in 1988. So mad at the Exxon Valdez.
Because of cocaine.
Cocaine, baby. Any 80s movie can happen with cocaine. They should have sponsored every 80s movie.
They did. Don't you remember examining those budgets?
Yeah. You know, winning that budget.
80s hairband rock and roll and cocaine.
There's like a $300,000 line item for per diems.
They made it through 90. Yeah.
This script is sitting on someone's desk for a while.
Yeah. I'll get into it.
Okay. All right.
So anyway, he's on his way out, right? He sold his dirt. He got his chits, pure hydro. He went to the market, and there's a dude at the market who's talking about the smokers, you know, and he's like talking about there's this little girl in the village that the smokers are after because she has a tattoo on her back. This like 6-year-old girl has a tattoo on her back of dry land. It's like a prophecy. Like there's a prophecy. This girl is like the chosen one or whatever, and the smokers are after her because this tattoo is the map to dry land.
Right, like the coordinates on it, like.
But it's in like a language nobody speaks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or something like
Yeah.
can't, like it's difficult to read or
But it's
something.
like coordinates to a point.
Right.
You know.
And he meets Helen is her name. Helen runs the shop. She sells pure hydro. By the way,
Like there's Helen's 500 years from now too.
well, I'll get into it, but it's based on Helen of Troy.
That's the first thing I thought.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought of.
But by the way, no way in the world is there not like 20 dudes with machine guns standing around that market guarding that pure hydro, bro. Like she's just sitting out there. There's criminals in her bar, and it's just her and her little girl protecting like this pure water that's worth a shit ton of money.
Also, does anyone ever say her name in this entire movie?
I think the old guy who I think it's like her dad or the dude who takes care of them.
Yeah.
Says the guy with the glasses.
Yeah.
The guy with the airship, man. Oh my god. The hot air balloon.
They were like, We wanted to take this one step further and add another layer of liability insurance.
They're exploring that there's maybe the idea that there are people in the sky too.
Yeah, that's true. That's good. He was basically Leonardo da Vinci.
Into the air.
He was Leonardo da Vinci. They created it was Leonardo da Vinci, and he had like a flying machine that he had made. But so our hero's on his way out. He bought his pure hydro. He's good to go. And this guy stops him, and he's like, "Hey man, before you go, do you mind having sex with my really young teenage daughter to get her pregnant? We want you to impregnate her." And this is what he says, because basically, the family will have to do it, and
it makes sense.
That never goes well.
Like
He's like, either you have sex with my young daughter, or her brother's gonna do it. It's gonna have to happen. We'd rather it be you, because you seem real cool, and you came out of the ocean from nowhere. So like, maybe you're not related to us since you came from like the open seas. And the cost man is like, no. No. That girl's way young. It may be 2,500. We may be living in Waterworld, but I have my morals. I'm not gonna do this. And so they're all like, this dude's been in the ocean for so long, and he's turning down sex. Like, what's wrong with this man? Arrest that man. Arrest that man.
Yeah,
they literally did.
Arrest that man. Fishy.
Something's fishy. Oh damn! That's gonna be the name of this episode. Waterworld. Something's fishy. So they're like, arrest him. Find out what he's hiding, because if he's turning down this teenager, there's no way he's a good dude. And they find out one of the dudes pulls his ears off or back and sees gills in his ears. And he's all like, gills.
I like, when that happened, I was like, how and why? Like, why add this wrinkle to this stupid story?
Humans are starting to evolve. There was a whole part of the movie that they took off with Dennis Hopper talking about evolution.
Oh, okay.
And humans, if we're going to live in this
that make a lot
world,
more sense.
Yeah, we're starting to evolve back into fish.
That would have made a lot. That one line would have made this movie make a lot more sense.
They had to cut it, 'cause they needed more brooding. Kevin Costner being mean to a woman on his boat.
Oh my God.
So they see his gills, and they're like, "Nah, dude, this dude's a mutant, or he's a muto, is what they call them. Mutos. Those are the mutants." And so they lock him up in a cage, and
of gunk, like, well, yeah, it was beneath
which
him, like,
also is something, because it means that they had seen them before. They're aware of it,
right?
If they're calling him that, they know that it exists. It's not like a myth or something.
But again, Kevin Costner was like, "I'm gonna be the only fucking muto."
Yeah, for sure. There can't be any more mutos, or else I'm not special. Yeah, for sure.
It's my thing.
Dude, I bet you're exactly right. I bet they had other mutos already, and he was like, no, I'm the only muto around here. The Cos is the muto. But,
the Cos.
So they lock him up, and Dev and Max, this is the first time I've ever heard of a mooring cleat. And they slid it in here like we all know what this thing is. But
I also missed this part.
The Leonardo da Vinci guy comes to him in the cage and basically says, "Tell me where you're getting this dirt. Please, they're going to kill you. We need to know. It's vitally important." And he says, "Get me out of this cage and I'll let you know." And he says, "There's a mooring cleat down below." And it's this, you guys, it's the metal tie rod on the side of docks and boats and shit that you tie shit to. I never knew it was called that.
Yeah, it's definitely more. The act of mooring is tying
something up.
Yeah. It's like a cleat for mooring.
You have mooring weights for buoys out in the water too. So it used to have like a float on it, like a signal, or a channel marker or something like that. So there are those too.
Hell yeah!
It would be just like a big block of cement sunk down with a chain attached to it, and this thing just bobs up and down.
The cleat is from a sailing term. The cleat comes from old wooden ships where it sailed like Spanish galleons and shit. They used to have to wrap the ropes the extra ropes around shit, and they
Right.
designed those braces to come out and spike out
Yeah.
so they could loop stuff. And then I don't know, just the name stuck.
It's amazing that we have this like information at
This
our
is why.
disposal. Yeah,
this
like,
is
you
why I
guys
was
are,
excited
like-
for this episode.
You guys are like uniquely
This
qualified.
is why
to
I was
talk
excited
about,
for this episode. I was
talk
like,
about
we're
this.
talking to
This is
boat dudes
fascinating,
about
yeah.
a boat movie. This
Yeah.
is good.
You're
So
like, did you
fascinating.
know this mooring cleat? I was like, motherfucker, I was using a mooring cleat like 3 hours ago.
I know. I've just never heard it. It is
so-
2 words that I've never heard said, and when he said it, I had to rewind it like 3 times and turn on the closed captioning. I was like, what is he saying right now? There's a morning wood. What? There's a what? And I had to Google the shit.
The morning
and
clit. The morning clit.
yeah.
That's what we're looking
There's a morning
Well,
clit.
You
on
talking
here.
about
So,
the
I was
girl
gonna
from
say-
earlier? Like
the significance of that is like if it was attached to a buoy or a marker or something like that, and he was able to. It's the bottom is there.
No, so I
Right.
think
So if it was attached to something, or
He
if
said
was
it could
able-
make a key to anything.
well, that's not true. But what I think it was, if I remember correctly, and I haven't seen it in a while, the cage was suspended over a pool of like mud.
Yeah, it was
And
like
then
some sort of
what
thick gooey.
so the rope that goes up to the pulley, and then whatever that rope was tied to would have been the mooring cleat. So if that rope was tied to off
right
to the
on.
side or tied down to the ground, that's the attachment point. So if that rope
so just-
releases, it gets untied from the mooring cleat, the cage
Boom.
falls, and it goes into the fucking.
And now he's
mud and
waterman, so
drowns.
he'll be good. He's a fish, so he'll be good. I see. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
instead, Kevin Costner's like, it's a key to everything.
They tried to sell it. He goes, "There's a mooring cleat under me. It's a key to everything." And then
I mean,
the camera,
kind of true, I guess.
for sure. But then the camera pans down to like an up high, wide shot of just a dock, and I'm like, "Oh, it's that thing in that tiny thing on the side of the concrete
Yeah,
that I'm
should
supposed
there
to be seeing
should there
right
be, like,
now."
an insert shot there?
Yeah, like or the old man's like, "What is that?" You know, it's like, what? No, but these are water people. They know what a mooring
That old
cleat is.
man was just being senile, and again, like dialogue, like cocaine. Like,
Oh man. Anyway, so next day comes around, not looking good for the cause. They're about to dip him into like all we know about this mud goo shit is that they dumped a dead body into it earlier, and it looks disgusting. And I get it looks maybe like abrasive or something, like it eats
it's
you.
probably
or,
like where there's sewage just
yeah,
sits.
yeah, yeah. That makes sense. So.
Yes. Does it?
That's what they're gonna dump him into it because he's a muto. Oh my god, dude! I have to. Did I?
Which they can't just like, cut his throat or something. They gotta like James Bond villain kill him.
it's
fucking,
so-
like, slowly suspending.
Here's what their like priest guy reads as he's being lowered into the sewage: bones to berries, veins to vines, these tendons to trees, this blood to brine. Too strange for life he was, this muto now does leave us, recycled and entombed in the presence of him who leads us. So there's like a big reason they're killing this guy. Like mutants are like against their religion in a way, I think. I guess that's what I'm getting from it. They're like they're destroying this like abomination to humans.
I mean,
Well, and
that,
that's a lot more of that stuff that's left out that
Yeah.
leaves everything so open. It's
Yeah,
like,
we need that stuff.
that is more interesting than the rest of this movie. Like that's
There was a whole thing about warring religious factions in this, but I guess it was like I guess
that part in.
But
What?
Kevin Costner was basically like global warming, religion, it's all too much. Let's just cut some of this shit, you know.
too much.
So now we have just totally we don't know why he's being dipped into this goo, but we just kind of guess that they don't like him, you know. It's like yeah.
it's all too much, dude.
So they're lowering him into the shit, and guess who shows up? The smokers. Like a guitar riff every time the smokers show up, and the smokers show up ready to rock shit. Dennis Hopper is on this like big throne, smoking cigarettes, smoking cigars, and there's one dude with like a pig mask, and he's got an anti-aircraft gun from World War II for some reason with 450 calibers. And Dennis Hopper immediately is in this different movie, right? Because he's bald, crazy outfit. Yeah, he's super tan.
He's having such a fun time.
He's having such a good time with this. He literally, his first line is like, "Give me the key to this city." And then they just start fucking shooting at the walls with machine guns and rockets and shit. Jet skis are flying all over the place. And "give me the key" means just like, go kill, man. You know, it's like, yeah, dude.
This part was dope. It was
so good.
Really dope fucking choreography. Like, really, like, interesting. Like,
there's a part where a guy ramps a jet ski like 20 feet into the air, and he's firing at people with a machine gun down below as he's like dive bombing people in a ramped jet ski, which is the most Florida thing I've ever heard ever, really. It's amazing.
This is like if Florida and Kenny Powers had a child.
All of these dudes should have had mullets. Like every single one of them. Just rocking sea mullets. They're diving down in the water under the wall. They like dive down under the wall and come back up in their little lagoon, and they're just shooting at children and throwing Molotovs, and it's just like
it was incredible.
Incredible.
And then they ran out of money after this.
And then the whole budget was spent on this scene, no doubt about it. I mean, legitimately, this scene probably costs
$100 million.
Yeah, 20, 30 million, something like that. I mean,
I would say this scene probably cost $100 million. Like this whole thing probably.
Well, the whole thing was the whole thing after it all was said and done was $235 million.
Yeah, I'm saying 100 of that was on this scene.
Yeah, 100 of that was on this one.
It's a lot of pyrotechnics, choreography, a lot of set building.
That's it. That's the end of that's all I wanted to tell about the movie. I just wanted to get you guys where it was. He gets away. He brings Helen and the girl with the back tattoo with him.
Well, nothing happens for the rest of the movie.
Well, he's just extremely mean to them on his boat.
They search for the island.
Yeah, they search for the island, and he almost sells the little girl to Kim Coates as a sex slave at one point, which was pretty crazy, seeing as how he's against teenage sex, you know. But all the while, Dennis Hopper and the Smokers are in pursuit. And they're doing two different
movies. Nothing else
happens
for the rest of the movie.
Dude, no, it's great. Everybody's got to see it for sure. But, so...
If you cut off after the first 30 minutes, you've seen the movie.
So, we have the year 1986 to thank for how awesome this shit is. Because that's exactly when a writer named Peter... I don't know how to say it. It's spelled like Rader, but I've heard people say like Radal. I don't know. I'm going to say Peter Rader because that sounds rad. He did a fat line of cocaine, looked at his producer friend Brad Crevoy, and he was like, "Fuck, I love Mad Max so much. I want to make something just like this shit, motherfucker. Hell yeah. Let's do it." And I imagine what happened next was him in a bathrobe with a cigarette, furiously pounding a typewriter and making Waterworld.
Waterworld, the Mad Max.
Waterworld, Mad Max on the sea. And
I mean, Peter Rader sounds like the name of a Cinemax softcore porn star.
Peter Rader.
Peter Rader.
I don't know if I can take anything that dude does seriously.
He's just like, he's a man, but he's a fish. He's a man, but he's a fish.
I am your attorney. My name is Peter Rader. Like, what? No, it's not. No, you aren't.
No, you're not. Yeah, Peter Rader definitely is like a serial killer name for sure. So he gets the script done. He says that it's directly inspired by Mad Max, but also has the Old Testament and the Bible, or in the Bible, and also Helen of Troy. He even named the lead character Helen, the lead female character. And I guess the Old Testament inspiration is like the Promised Land, and there's like a prophecy. You know, there's the whole Promised Land, like the land of milk and honey in the Old Testament. And I think that's what he was going for. And I guess, like, the girl's a prophecy.
The more you tell me, the more I'm like, yeah, this is a cocaine rant.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking cocaine rant, dude.
And then they all decide to start businesses together.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, man. It's widely believed it was also inspired by a comic strip called Freak Wave by Peter Milligan and Brendan McCarthy. And this comic strip looks sick. If you want to Google it, it was basically Mad Max surfing. And if you look at the comic strip, you can see like some of the art is a lot. It looks like concept art for Waterworld, this comic strip. So a lot of people think that was also where he got it.
Okay, so you just stole it.
Yeah. And also, the writer of Freakwave, that comic strip, he went on to contribute to Mad Max Fury Road in 2015.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
okay.
so this whole Mad Max is always present in this whole story.
That's to me, that's like the entire thing. Someone was like, I'm going to do Mad Max, but on water.
Yeah, a bunch of these people worked on Mad Max, Also,
Even madder, Max.
Even madder, Max, because he's in the middle of the ocean.
You know what Mad Max never did? Stuck Max on a car with a girl for an hour and a half, and nothing happened. That never happened in any of the Mad Max movies.
Drake did not like Waterworld.
Well, I don't know. I didn't see Fury Road. Wasn't Charlize Theron in that? I don't.
Yeah, it was basically Waterworld, but on land. It was Land World. Mad Max is Land World.
Things happened. Nothing happened for an hour and a half.
That's the thing. Like, if there's so much confusion and there's so much money put into it, why not just make two? Like, plan on making it longer, the whole thing.
Right.
If you're gonna go down that and spend all that money, and
split it up into
all
two.
Of this into it.
Split it up into two would have been a no-brainer.
So expensive. The studio paid for all the cocaine. Like, that's why.
Right. Yeah.
It was
the
so
budget got out of
expensive.
control with the coke. Especially Dennis Hopper on set. He is the guy who actually does have the story about Apocalypse Now spending part of the budget on his cocaine.
Really?
He's literally he's the dude in that legend. Allegedly. Yeah. Rest in peace. He was a great man. Or I don't know. I didn't meet him, but he was a great actor.
Dennis Hopper's dead?
Dennis Hopper? Yeah.
Oh.
He passed. He passed 5 years ago, 6 years ago, maybe longer. I don't know.
Cocaine.
I mean, it definitely had something to do with it.
I mean,
sure it
that
didn't
man's
help.
an easy writer.
Yeah. Dennis Hopper, another Dick Cavett interview of his was even further back when he was talking about like hallucinations that he was starting to have because of all the drugs and shit.
What?
Yeah, he got way into it. But
Have you seen Easy Rider, Drake?
you haven't seen? Hell no, Drake hasn't seen Easy Rider. Are you crazy?
I've never even heard of this movie.
Exactly. Jack Nicholson, Dennis Hopper, they're on motorcycles going across America.
It's a pretty good one.
Is it like Mad Max?
They do acid in a cemetery. It's like Mad Max.
Fear and Loathing meets motorcycle Mad.
Yeah, it's Fear and Loathing meets motorcycles.
That's good, actually.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
It
Yeah. I don't know if you guys are a fan of this at all, but one thing that the set design on Waterworld really reminded me of was Fallout. I think Fallout got a lot of set design from Waterworld, for sure.
Like I said, it would be a dope game.
Yeah,
This would have been a better video game.
I think it was. It was called Fallout.
Yeah.
I think that was like
full of it on water.
But Land World.
Even doing a remake right now, knowing everything that they did wrong and how to fix it could be better.
It could be better.
Even trying.
I think even a remake, it's funny that you say that too, because I watched an interview where they asked Kevin Costner if they should reboot it. And he was like, no, what are you talking about? Just re-release the original. It's good. It's like,
Oh my god. Re-release the original?
Re-release the original. It's so good. Yeah, he's like, we need to bring it to a new audience. That's what he said. Like,
oh my god.
Oh, dude, Kevin Costner's interviews, I highly recommend going to watch them, man. There was one where they're talking to him. He's talking to he's at a SAG thing where he's talking at SAG, and he's talking to a bunch of actors. And he said he literally spent like 10 minutes stood up on stage ranting about how cameramen and directors always want him to do these things that like I'm just as important as your fucking camera, like I'm the guy who's making the movie. Your camera isn't shit and blah blah blah. And he's like ragging on like camera people, and it's like yeah, Kevin, this sounds right in tune with you and who you are for sure. Like this is definitely why you were a nightmare to work
he's
with.
Like, so who wants to go make a movie?
Yeah. Not me,
Says the
Kevin.
man who never wanted to be an actor.
Yes, that's the man who never wanted to be an actor. Exactly. So, he finished the script. And he kind of just shelved it. I imagine he like finished the script and like threw it as hard as he can against like a bookshelf or something.
He was like, he finished writing. He was like immediately like, this is a bad idea. All this was so bad.
This is gonna be so
He
bad.
finished the script and stuffed it into a bottle and threw it in the ocean.
Oh my
it came
God.
back in 2 months and it was complete.
Kevin Costner was already in the
Done.
ocean. Kevin Costner just comes out of the ocean holding this bottle with the script in it. He's like, I've got my new movie.
Wait, was it Kevin Costner in Message in a Bottle?
Oh my God. So 1989 rolls around. He blows the dust off the script, decides maybe he'll start making the rounds around Hollywood, seeing what could happen. And by 1992, it had made its rounds, and everybody's talking about it. There was even at one point, Rader was at a studio, and he overheard some people talking about his script because he had submitted it, and they were talking about how Kevin Costner was interested, and he didn't even know. He didn't even say anything to these guys about like how he was the writer of it. Probably a good idea, but no, I'm just kidding. And yeah, so it made
Found
its
the
way.
script in a trash can, guys. You should read it.
I pulled this out of. It was covered in white powder. I blew the dust off of it. And it had made its way to the hands of incredibly famous actor Kevin Costner and his director pal Kevin Reynolds, who had collaborated before on Fandango in 1985 and Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves in 1991.
That's why I know him.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I was aware of that thing.
That's where they probably, found their success.
Yeah, and it gets a little confusing.
Hey, everybody, that was a box office hit, wasn't it?
Yeah. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves was a big one. That definitely...
Wasn't too great, but it was big at the box office.
I didn't see that one. I saw Men in Tights. I didn't see.
Men in
Well,
Tights
that's the
was
good
better.
Yeah,
Okay,
Men in
good.
Tights is the good ones.
No,
I never saw the other
Carrie
Kevin
Ells
Costner, he
Dave
kind of...
Chappelle, yeah.
I think later on he kind of got ragged for...
Bro, Morgan Freeman plays his sidekick.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think he kind of got
plays-
ragged
what's
for it
his-
later.
Little John. Morgan Freeman is Little John.
Wow, he's not big enough to be Little John.
No.
And it's going to get kind of confusing because, so I'm going to talk about the cause for a bit. I'm going to get into him.
Yeah, give me some background on Kevin Costner and why.
Yeah.
Why is Kevin Costner?
So, why is Kevin Costner? Kevin Costner was born in 1955 in Compton, California. City of Compton.
Really?
Yeah. Because when you think Compton, you don't think Kevin Costner like right off the top of your head. That's the first thing I
Wasn't
think
what came to mind.
That's the first thing I had to think of. His dad Bill was a lineman for the county, working on electrical lines, and his mom Sharon was a welfare worker. And they had actually escaped Oklahoma during the Dust Bowl in the 30s and made a life for themselves in L.A. And Kevin's brother William Costner would become an electrician and later on an executive at Southern California Edison. So we paid Kevin Costner's brother for our electricity for a while.
You mean those power lines that are starting all the fires right now?
Yeah. Those are Costner's. Yeah. He and his family put those up after Waterworld.
Kevin Costner's next movie, he's going to be a firefighter fighting the California fires.
In real life, he's got to go put out all these fires because he started them technically. So he was raised Baptist. He wasn't very good in school. He was a big jock. His sophomore year, he shot up from 5'2" to 6'1". So he became this big jock in high school, out of
Growing
nowhere.
a foot in a year.
Yeah. That's probably what's wrong with him. He's like, what happened to me? And he was a star in football, baseball, basketball. He was musical as well. He played piano and sang at choir at church, which is kind of funny. He was like a church choir boy who played football. He was probably not very fun to hang out with, but
Something tells me that never changed.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I was a football player, but not a church choir guy. But
Everything you're telling me about him, it all makes more sense.
It all makes sense.
It all makes sense. Everything, it's all
Yep.
coming together. I'm understanding this more and more now. The cost.
When he was 18 years old, he took a canoe and paddled down the same rivers that Lewis and Clark took, making their way to the Pacific. So he got his start on boats pretty early on. 18. He was ready for Waterworld.
I mean,
he already done
that's
this
a
shit.
gnarly trip.
Yeah,
That's not
yeah.
something to fuck with.
Apparently, he did it the real way. He did it with like old timey like maps and shit. But yeah, he was very into the forming of America, and yeah.
Everything you say about him makes more sense.
Dude, The Postman.
The Postman. I haven't. That's one that I haven't seen yet.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Let me enlighten you three really quick. And
Yeah,
our
yeah,
listeners. The Postman is a glorious film, again in a post-apocalyptic setting where Kevin Costner is running for his life and ends up taking shelter from this crazy gang in a postal truck that had been abandoned in the middle of the woods.
What?
And he dresses like a postman, and the United States government doesn't exist anymore. It's all these like warlords. And he goes and he dresses like this postman, and he like rides a fucking horse into a town with like a bag of mail and starts giving it out so that people can give him shelter. And he's like, oh yeah, the government's back on again. The real government. And he like, by being an actual postman and delivering the mail, he starts the United States government again and
Holy
saves
shit.
the fucking world.
Oh my God.
Every movie that
glorious
Kevin Costner's
movie.
in feels like he wrote it.
He kind of did. I mean, basically, everything. Like I said, he was one of those people. Every set he stepped foot on became Cos time. Like it was Costner time all the time.
And they just put up with it because he sold movies?
Yeah, man. Oh yeah, all these guys do it. Bruce Willis does the same thing still to this day.
Yeah.
He'll rewrite any movie that he comes on.
Brucey Bruce.
Yeah, any movie that he comes on. So yeah, Costner. Like, yeah, Dev was talking about this. He goes to college, goes to Cal State Fullerton, and he was going for business, and he started taking acting classes at night. And it's funny you say this, Dev, because, yeah, one guy, there is rumors that it was because acting makes you a lot of money, and there were other people who said it was because this girl, Cindy, was in acting class, and he really liked her, so he started going to acting class to chase her too. But he was in business school. Like, he was not
It's funny
anywhere
to me,
near acting.
It's funny to me that he just fell ass backwards into something that people try their whole lives to get into.
Yeah. He went in his
Then doesn't enjoy it. Like he's the same as like the stockbroker who hates his life in the cubicle but is fucking a millionaire. And then he's just like, God damn it, I gotta go to the office again and ride this fucking jet ski.
I know,
and do this
dude.
blow and
Seriously.
watch these fucking baseball players come out of a cornfield. What is this shit?
So unhappy.
That's
about
how he
this.
sounded in that interview where he's yelling at cameramen. I'm just like, you are Kevin Costner. You win. Like, sit down. Like, Jesus,
It's like,
man.
He's like an actor complaining about being told what to do is kind of like, bro, do you know what job you have? Like, your whole job is to do what people say. Like,
Oh my God. So basically,
do you know what a director is?
so he graduates college. He marries Cindy Silva. She worked at Disneyland as Cinderella at the time, and she was really trying to act. And they honeymooned in Puerto Vallarta. And on the return plane journey, they had a chance encounter with actor Richard Burton. He was a huge old actor. They run into Richard Burton on the plane. He had purchased all the seats around him for solitude. Like, please, no one bother me.
Oh my God.
And
What a fucking LA thing to do.
Yeah.
I'm one of those. Because, like, you still have other people on the plane, but just these surrounding seats I want.
These 5 other
I'm like,
people.
I don't really feel like getting first class, but I'm
Right.
going to buy, like, this section right here in the middle of the plane.
such a baller move. I love it.
Costner did not take the hint.
Costner did not take the hit. He was like, Richard, can I talk to you about some shit? And basically, Burton agreed to speak with him, but he said, let me finish my book, and I'll talk to you, you annoying bastard, probably 6'1" goofball. And so he talked to him for a while. Costner said he had been taking acting classes, but he hadn't told his wife yet that he wanted to be an actor, but he was starting to really want to be one. And he said he watched Burton, and Burton basically told him, you should act. I guess Richard Burton at the time had some sort of big drama around him, and they apparently talked about something that was going on with him, and I don't know. He told Costner, you have blue eyes, I have blue eyes, you'll be fine. That's what he told him. That's how he told him to go
out.
out. Yeah. Oh, so the plane lands, right? And Burton's limousine pulls up to the curb where Costner and his wife were waiting for a taxi. And Burton's like, good luck, kid. Go out there with your blue eyes. And apparently they never met again. Kevin Costner and Richard Burton never met again. But Costner credits Burton with basically partially, starting his career. So yeah, he took on a job as a marketing executive, but he started pursuing acting. He took acting lessons 5 days a week while he was working.
Okay, so I mean that now that feels a little better that he didn't just like literally dumb luck his way into everything. At least he kind of he worked for it.
There's some missing stuff though, because there's some stuff that happens soon where it's got to be dumb luck. I don't know, but but while he's developing his acting skills, he was working on fishing boats. He worked as a truck driver. He gave tours of stars' homes in L.A. at one point, and which I've heard a lot of people do, like actors who are starting out.
Everybody does that.
Yeah, give tours because you work on speaking to people. So yeah, the young Kevin Costner, he's bouncing around town. It's 1978, and he gets a movie called Sizzle Beach, USA. And they filmed in the winter between 78 and 79, but it wasn't released until 81. And then he kind of picked up a string of smaller roles in movies and commercials through the 80s. And in 1983, he lands this role as a suicidal friend to the main character in a movie called The Big Chill. I've never seen it, but I've heard it's pretty good, actually. But unfortunately, his scenes were all cut out. Kevin Costner actually wasn't in the movie. He got completely cut out. But the director of the movie, Lawrence Kasdan, really liked him. So he's like, all right, look, we got to cut you out of this one, but the next one, I got you. The next one, don't you worry, I got you. And he did. In 1985, he cast him in a movie called Desperado with Kevin Kline, Danny Glover, and Scott Glenn, three giant actors. And this was the role that put him on the map. This was like what basically got him his face out there, And I always wonder, his wife Cindy must have been like, yeah, good for you. Good for you, Good for you, Kevin. So glad you decided to do the thing that I'm doing, and now you're actually doing it, and I'm not. I'm working at Disneyland. That's so cool,
Wait, so he never got his wife
Nope.
a career?
Nope. You ever heard of Cindy Costner in anything? Because I sure haven't.
Oh, my God.
Oh,
he definitely could have made her a career.
Yeah, and dude,
at some point.
This is where I start to say that we're missing stuff, because he was in this Desperado movie, which already, I mean, as an actor, you do this one movie, you get cut out, but then all of a sudden, you're the fourth lead with these huge actors on this giant Western movie. Mm-hmm. It was not a cheap movie. Desperados is like that's a show enough like real movie. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets this thing out of nowhere, and that comes out. And then by 1987, he had his first starring role.
Yeah, you're right. Something's
missing.
Someone's fishy.
The sacrifice, the human sacrifice, or something.
Yeah, the sacrifice. How many times did he get down on his knees?
Maybe that's why he's so mad. Maybe that's why he's so mad.
The gods of Hollywood.
Maybe that's why he's so mad he's an actor. 1987.
Oh man, I hate this job. Every time I gotta go to the office, it's like I'm a sex worker or something.
You didn't find out till way later, and not everyone else to do that.
Yeah,
he's like, dude.
It's like, what?
His wife Cindy's like, please make me an actress. And she's like, honey, you really don't want this.
You don't want none of this. You don't want no part of this.
You get
world.
enough of this at home anyway.
You don't want to know what I had to do for the Disneyland gig, Hollywood. So Max, this is a recurring theme on film history. The deep dives that I do on these actors, they never talk about what their wives are doing, or it is interesting. Just like we just talked about James Cagney, his wife was also a vaudeville actor, and all of a sudden he started making movies for studios, and you just never really hear what happened to his wife after that. Like, it kind of happens a lot. So yeah, 1987, he gets his first lead role as Elliot Ness in Untouchables. And I want to talk about this movie. We could
do an episode on this.
Yeah, we definitely could. There was a movie he did, Untouchables. He plays Elliot Ness, the guy who went after Al Capone, or like one of them, And
so, Robert De Niro plays Al Capone.
Oh, really? I didn't even.
Oh yeah, Robert De Niro is Al Capone in The Untouchables, and there's a famous scene when Robert De Niro's walking around this table as Al Capone, and he just bashes somebody's head in with a baseball bat in the middle of a meeting.
I'll have to give it another watch because it's been a long time since I've seen it. I just remember not liking it much. Kevin Costner is like.
Untouchables wasn't that bad.
Yeah.
And then Sean Connery is in it as Kevin Costner's old Scottish mentor.
Yeah, and it's the famous movie with the baby going down the stairs. Have you ever seen it?
Andy Garcia is in it. Andy Garcia is like the young cop.
Oh, that's
the hothead.
Yeah, Andy Garcia.
There was a bunch of famous people in it. So William H. Macy was in it. He was a part of that crew.
Oh, shit, man. No, I'll have to give it another watch. I didn't like it when I watched it, but also Kevin Costner sometimes, man, he just doesn't do it for me.
Everybody else in that movie.
Everybody else in that movie did. Yeah. That's the thing. He got the starring role of this.
Niro's not that great.
He gets the starring role of this after like a few years of being in it with legends in this movie.
Nothing about Kevin Costner makes sense to me.
Yeah, no.
Well, what was the movie he just did with Woody Harrelson? Did you see that?
Waterworld.
But
ladies and gentlemen,
they just did a movie together. It was about Bonnie and Clyde.
Oh, dude. Okay, yeah, that was really fucking good. Highwaymen. Okay,
it was good.
You know what? I forgot that was Kevin Costner, and I gotta give it to him. That movie was incredible.
Okay.
Yeah, and he did really well in that shit. And it's really enjoyable. Yeah. Honestly,
I liked the two of them.
Yeah, you know what, Max?
Good.
That's good that you bring that up because it kind of was the same. Like he played Elliot Ness, going after Al Capone. He kind of was bringing that energy back because it's the same thing in The Untouchables where Elliot Ness and these guys were like horse riding, like martial types that were after the mafia, and so that kind of.
And I love those timepiece movies.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Highwaymen, highly recommended. And they talk about how Bonnie and Clyde were not like cool dudes. Like these were murderous redneck psychopaths.
They were young, just trying to kill people.
Just trying to kill people. Yeah. And so he stars in The Untouchables. It gets him hugely famous. It's like the biggest movie of the year, of course. And so this really put Kevin Costner on. So he did 2 baseball movies.
Untouchables won Best Screenplay at the Oscars that year.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then he did 2 amazing movies, back-to-back baseball movies, Bull Durham and Field of Dreams.
This ball is crushed.
Yeah.
Field of Dreams is the worst movie in the world.
If you build it, they will come.
Oh, is that where that's from?
Yeah.
No, they won't. And that statement is never true. Because so many businesses have been like, using that, like when a husband tells his wife, "Yo, I'm going to start a business of making, candle wax," and they're like, "If you build it, they will come." And they're like, no,
but they never do. So, 1990, he and his producer friend Jim Wilson started a production company called TIG Productions, and the first film that TIG Productions ever does is Dances with Wolves.
Oh wow!
Yeah, Kevin stars and directs. They made it. They got $15 million to do this movie, which in 1990 is like $30 million currently. It's the equivalent. Everything. It's easy to do the calculations on this one because everything's just double.
Right.
Like everything's just double what it was, and so times 2. That's what it was. So and they made it for $15 million. The movie netted $450 million in 1990, making it the highest grossing film in 1990. And it got nominated for 12 Academy Awards, won 7 of them, including Best Picture, Best Director for Kevin Costner, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Film Editing, Best Cinematography, Best Original Score, and Best Sound Mixing. And it also won the Golden Globe Award for Best Motion Picture Drama.
Kevin Costner made some sort of deal with the devil.
Had to have.
Well, they're like, we're going to give you a career, but you'll never be happy another day in your life.
He made a deal with Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, the devil.
Same thing.
That's what Drake said. I think you guys are saying the same thing. Yeah, dude.
I feel you on the devil part, but I think
everything's adding
there's
up.
A logical explanation for this trajectory.
I don't know. Just imagine this. you make a movie in 78, this tiny movie, and then 12 years later, you and your producer buddy just start a production company, make a movie, get $15 million to make it, and then you want to star and direct in it as well. And it goes well. Like, it works. Like, it made the equivalent of like $1 billion, basically.
That is insane.
Insane. And then it wins every award known to man. Kevin Costner is like the top dog of 1990. Like, it is his year.
No, yeah, that makes
Waterworld
sense.
is some generation's Citizen Kane.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it was, like I said, you know, Kevin was doing Citizen Kane, and Dennis Hopper was doing Wayne's World 2. Yeah.
No, Dennis Hopper was doing Mario World with John Leguizamo.
Yeah, Dances with Wolves got so big, it was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant, and is credited as a leading influence for the revitalization of the Western genre of filmmaking in Hollywood. It was like one of the biggest movies that's ever come out ever, and it was just their first rip at being a production company, basically.
I mean, everything's compared. I mean, like, that's like Avatar is Dancing with Wolves. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Pocahontas is Dancing. Like, honestly, Dancing with Wolves is Pocahontas, but you know what I mean? Like,
Dancing with Wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
for
that's-
sure. It's a great movie. Incredible movie.
Really? Oh,
yeah,
it's
incredible
actually good?
movie. Yeah. It earned everything that it got. It was
Okay.
just I mean, it just, dude, he just had a brain on him that just, he knew the industry. I don't
Yeah.
know. This guy, like, read the industry, knew exactly what to do. And this was, you know, granted, this was 12 years after he did his first role. So I guess he had been in it for a while.
Yeah.
But again, his wife's just like, that's great, Kevin. Great.
Is there a role for me in any of these movies?
No.
You wrote and directed it, and you didn't cast her in anything?
Yeah, no, you know.
Can you imagine that conversation at the dinner table at home when she's like, "So, how's the script coming?
It's like, none of your
You
business.
see any leading ladies in there? Oh, no, not doing."
Yeah, they famously don't last very long.
Oh,
But,
okay.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
Okay, all right. Wait, is she still with him at this point?
No, well, no. At this point, yes.
Okay.
1990, yeah, they were still.
It's like 12 whole
something.
years.
Yeah. Yeah, and then 1991, he plays Robin Hood in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, like we were talking about. And in 1992, he made Bodyguard, written by... Oh, okay. That's where it was him and Whitney Houston. It was written by his buddy Lawrence Kasdan, who cast him in the first big movie that, like, you know, he cast him in Desperado. This was the movie where it was him and Whitney Houston, and this is the one where Whitney Houston did I Will Always Love You. And
Okay.
get it, Dev. And, yeah.
Well, no, we can't pay for the rights to that song, so I'm not going to get it any more than that.
And again, though, like, The Bodyguard, he does this movie. Whitney Houston, it was a Dolly Parton song that she covered, I Will Always Love You. The original soundtrack album to The Bodyguard became the best-selling soundtrack of all time and the best-selling album by a female artist of all time. It has been certified diamond in the United States, or sales of over 10 million, because it sold 45 million copies. And in addition, Houston's cover of I Will Always Love You sold 20 million units worldwide just by itself as a single, and she became the best-selling physical single by a female artist of all time.
Wow.
So they called it was so many sales, they called it Diamond.
Diamond.
Right? Do you think that's what she meant when she said, "Give me that rock"?
Give me that rock, maybe.
I'm
They're whack.
I'm starting to understand why Kevin Costner's ego is where it's at. Like, why he thinks he can rewrite these
Yeah.
movies.
This is what. Yeah.
Why he thinks he like has the authority to rewrite movies and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it actually, like, I do get it. I get where you're coming from.
I imagine there were a lot of people around him at the time that were like, "Who
I
are
didn't
you?"
know Kevin Costner was this big.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. He was in the '90s. He was the shit.
That's wild.
And so while he's doing Bodyguard, 1992, this is around the time where he starts doing Waterworld. He joins the production of Waterworld in 92.
Okay.
And so from 92 to 90...
Do you know anything about how he like heard about it, how he got attached to it?
It was that guy's script was floating around.
And he just liked it?
Somebody sent it to him. You know, I'm sure his agent was like, there's a script floating around the studio, maybe take a look at it.
When you did canoes back in the day? It was
And
like that.
Let me ask you this. Do you know when the most recent Mad Max was made to Waterworld? Like, it wasn't Mad Max 1, but it probably was either 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It might have been like Thunderdome or something.
Right, like...
So maybe they were like, look, Thunderdome, they got 3 of these motherfuckers. We got to go franchise.
Interesting.
Like, I just picture Kevin Costner as Tug Speedman from Tropic Thunder.
Right.
And like, Waterworld is his full retard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely feels like they thought this was going to be a big franchise. Like, this is like...
Oh, dude.
Nah, Simple Jock.
He does...
We make more Mad Max.
Yeah, and he does a big fucking stinker while he's doing Waterworld. In 1994, have you guys heard, his Wyatt Earp movie? He played Wyatt Earp in the movie called Wyatt Earp in 1994, and it was a huge...
No.
What's that?
Wait, I thought Val Kilmer one was wild.
No, so Tombstone had come out.
That's Tombstone.
Came out in 93. Oh. Yeah, with all the good stuff, with Val Kilmer being Doc Holliday, Kurt Russell as Wyatt Earp, and wiped it out of the park, like completely home run. One of the best movies still. I still watch that movie every 6 months or so. So it's
one of the best westerns.
Absolutely.
Of the last 20 years for sure.
And so Costner in 1984, 6 months later, he comes out with this movie Wyatt Earp, and everybody's like, "No, bro, like we already saw it. Like we're good. Thanks, but we're good."
That's so funny. It's one of those things where it's like, I like White House Down and fucking the other one. You know what I mean? Like there's just like 2 movies come out at the same time, like a fucking Prestige
always
and
happens.
The Illusionist or whatever.
Illusionist, yes. Yeah, always.
Armageddon and Deep Impact.
Yeah.
It just happens that 2 movies that are exactly the same come out around the same time.
Yeah.
How dare you? Armageddon is far greater.
Dev, I did a movie early in my career called Deep Impact for some rent money.
Yeah. All right, Peter Rader.
But all the while, from 92 to 94... our boy Kevin Costner is doing the most expensive movie to have ever been made up until this time, Waterworld. And we're about to get into the behind the scenes of making this movie on open waters. So the script's floating around. He hears about it in 92. He shows interest in the film, but Kevin Costner insisted that his friend Kevin Reynolds be the director. That's the only way he's going to do the movie. And Charles Gordon, who it was a producer who he had done Field of Dreams with, so he wants Kevin Reynolds and Charles Gordon, or he walks. That's basically it.
Okay.
And so Reynolds
pulling a Costner.
He's pulling a Costner. Already. Full Costner pulling it. And actually, Kevin Reynolds initially refused because he did not want to work with Costner again after Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Basically, they say Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves was them screaming at each other every single day, absolutely hating being there. And for some reason, Kevin Costner was like, "Hey, you want to do this other movie with me? Out in the middle of the ocean?"
Where no one can hear you
We're going to be alone on a boat for 160 days.
I know we're not really friends anymore. But you want to go do this?
I know you hate my guts, but you want to be on the middle of the ocean with me for like an inordinate amount of time. Charles Gordon said that he literally had to lock them into a hotel room together and let them scream at each other for a while about doing Waterworld. Kevin Reynolds is like, "I'm not doing it," and Kevin Costner's like, "Yes, the fuck you are, dude. Yes, you are."
See, if he built it, then they
will come. He built it, and they will come whether they want to or not.
I think that, from somebody who's looking at it from more of a practical standpoint versus somebody who just wants to do it.
Right. Yeah. Reynolds is like, "You're not the guy getting yelled at every single day by you, bitch."
Yeah.
It's so interesting, but he wouldn't do the movie without him.
He did, but he wouldn't do the movie without him. So basically, Universal offered, okay, look, we'll make this movie for $100 million.
Okay.
Which equivalent to these days is $200 million. Like,
that's
they were
a
basically
lot of
like,
money.
all right. And so Kevin Reynolds was like, all right. All right, I guess I'll do it.
Panel of executives lost their jobs after this.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm curious
Well,
about it too.
I wonder if they took into evaluation how much Mad Max cost and what to expect.
Yeah,
probably.
Maybe.
Well, so question. Okay, so they shot this in the middle of the ocean. Did they all live on a cruise ship? Like, okay.
You'll find out. Okay. That's a good story. That's a really great story. It's super Kevin Costner.
A man named Nemo popped out of the ocean on a submarine and collected them all up after they were done for the day.
A rescue ship. Yeah.
That would have been an interesting dynamic to Waterworld.
Right?
Submarine
Yeah.
people.
Why don't
Oh
they
my
have
God.
like a Nautilus thing?
Submarine people?
I'm
That's
telling you,
so
man.
cool.
I really
That's
do
what
think
you do.
after this we write Waterworld.
The
2.
miniseries. 10-part
it would be
miniseries,
this actually
Waterworld.
wouldn't be a bad series.
Yeah. And
It would
There's
do better.
there's
I think.
potential here. I mean,
yeah.
you could bring this back.
yeah, for sure.
Listen, HBO, I know you're thinking about this really hard, but
They're like, what can we do with Waterworld?
we have been talking with Netflix, so you guys were just gonna have to figure it out.
I'm sure Kevin Costner has pitched this idea quite a few times.
Well,
No,
here's-
he thinks it's
but here's
great,
what you
so-
gotta
Yeah.
do. It says like Netflix presents without Kevin Costner.
So honestly,
They'll do
what
they'll do the opposite of the Dave Chappelle thing.
what this whole movie feels like is because I know there's a stunt show, not in the I don't-
Universal.
Universal, but in the one in Japan. There's definitely not the one in Florida.
Oh yeah, well they yeah.
It feels like it was a stunt show first,
Yeah.
and then they made a movie out of the stunt show.
It was the other way around. And just to let you know how bad this is gonna get.
This was like the Florida version of Cirque du Soleil.
And just to let you know how bad this is going to get, in 92, they approved that $100 million budget. By 94, they had spent $175 million over budget, basically. Or not over budget, 75 over budget, 175. And that's before the marketing.
Almost doubled the budget.
Yeah, by the time this is all said and done, it's $235 million for this film when it was supposed to be 100.
Wow.
So it's like...
Yep.
Yep.
All
Yep.
right. Well, my question was what happened, but that's exactly what you're about to explain.
Yeah. So Charles Gordon and Lawrence Gordon, the producer brothers, they took the film into production under their production company, Largo Entertainment, which is kind of funny. Maybe like Key Largo. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's where Dev and Max
There's a
are.
bunch of Largos in Florida.
Yeah.
There's Largo, Key Largo, yeah.
And then there's an actual comedy club in Hollywood called the
The
Largo.
Largo. Yeah.
It's a very famous comedy club.
Yeah, it became a Hamburger Hamlet at one point. But they were they were eyeing Norwegian filmmaker Niels Gaup as director, but Kevin Costner was like, "Nah, it's got to be Kevin Reynolds or I walk." Like I said, when Universal Studios got involved, their choices for director were Robert Zemeckis or Lawrence Kasdan over Reynolds. They wanted this to be a Zemeckis film, but again.
That probably would have been a good idea.
Probably. Yeah. That probably made sense to them too. They're like, okay, we got this $100 million movie, get the $100 million director. Get the big guy. Yeah. I mean, this guy knows how to work a set.
Let's give it to Kevin Costner.
Yeah. Let's give it
Let's let him drive this boat.
And I was gonna say, I mean, like, then my gut instinct would be like, well, get the director you want, and if Kevin Costner walks, get someone else. But like, you just explain how big of an actor Kevin Costner was, like letting him go with like probably.
And also, he had their hands tied because Robert Zemeckis and Lawrence Kasdan, the other directors that Universal wanted, read the script and was like, "No, man, I'm good." They're like, it looks like a great script,
we're not
but
touching that shit.
yeah, they
I'm pretty sure that they even like Spielberg even warned them about
He did.
water.
Yeah.
It was probably like don't do it because they shot Jaws similarly, had so many issues.
Yeah.
And that was his first film.
Yeah.
You know, that was
They went to him and they asked him what his advice about shooting on open water was, and he said, "Don't do it."
Yeah.
He said because that's what caused Jaws was supposed to be 55 days and it turned into 155 days. So he also
Jaws was over budget too.
he got in some hot water.
Again, I don't understand why you don't just shoot this in a pool on the soundstage.
And
you can't fucking see anything, and it's all unreal, dude. Like they don't have digital back then. Like they got it is a whole different animal, bro. There's no cell phones. You can't text somebody. You have pagers.
Right. Yeah.
It's like the pyrotechnics too. Like you don't have a soundstage to do something that large and that big.
Right.
You know, like where.
Okay.
So they asked a writer, David Webb Peoples, to do rewrites, but he wasn't available, so they went with David. I don't know how Twohy. Tuohy. I don't know how to say his name, but basically he was the guy who came in and really rewrote. Like he was the writer, basically.
Really, yeah.
But when we're talking about the rewrites of this movie, the version that reached the studio had already been written 7 times over by Rader. It was already in its 7th iteration. And during filming, this script got rewritten 36 times by 6 different writers as they were filming it.
How many times?
36 times. 36 rewrites while filming. While being on floating open water sets the whole time. They're rewriting. They go through 6 writers. It's like a revolving door.
Why?
Kevin Costner.
He just didn't like it?
He didn't like it. He didn't like what people were doing. Yeah.
Floating around, being sunbaked, doing cocaine.
Wouldn't aren't these things you would iron out before you get onto open waters?
Dude, at one point during the end of the movie, they flew out Josh Whedon. He was going to rewrite the end of the movie. And he described it as 7 weeks of being in hell with Kevin Costner on open water. And literally nothing that he pitched made it into the movie, he said, besides like some puns that he wrote for like some characters. But this is a Costner script. And at one point, Kevin Reynolds, his director buddy, left the movie.
Really?
Quit the entire movie. Yeah, like
at what point in the movie? Like how far along were they?
Let's see. It's a little ahead, but he said about Kevin Costner. He said Kevin Costner should just direct all of his own movies. That way, he's working with his favorite director at all times.
Yeah.
Why didn't he insist on directing himself?
I don't know. Yeah.
Did he direct after the guy left?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He took over. He even took over the editing.
Wow.
He locked Kevin Reynolds out of the editing bay and post, and Kevin Reynolds actually left Hollywood for a while.
Wow.
He was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
I don't blame him, dude. I don't blame him.
Yeah. Kevin Costner drove him to quit.
Seems like the kind of thing that would make you question your entire life.
Yeah, it's like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
I'd rather go sell insurance.
Did he walk back? Did he walk back into a cornfield?
I cannot believe any studio would greenlight this movie.
Universal greenlit it for $100 million.
That sounds like a bad idea.
Yeah. But before the bad times, we're just starting this movie. Nothing's bad yet. It's all exciting. Kevin Reynolds is out scouting locations. He looks in the Bahamas. He looks at the islands in the Pacific around Japan. But he finally chose Kauai Harbor in Hawaii around Kona. And they set up in some empty sugar warehouses to build the sets. So he really set... And it's kind of funny. They said immediately the local businesses were like ripping them a fucking new one because they knew like you're here now and there's nowhere you can go. So price gouging was like out of the ass.
Oh my
They're
God.
just charging. Yeah. Hawaii
It's nowhere you can go.
Hawaii, they said like within the first month of filming, they had made $35 million from the production for Hawaii. And yeah, this is where, before filming, Spielberg warned them not to film in open water due to all the troubles he had trying to shoot Jaws. We already talked about that. Kevin Costner trained with an Olympic swim champion for his underwater swimming scenes. And
that's cool.
His stunt double was Laird Hamilton, the famous surfer. That was Kevin Costner's stunt double, right?
That's fucking awesome.
That
is the coolest part of this movie. Laird Hamilton.
I knew you'd love that, Dad. I knew it. Laird Hamilton, dude. When you got like far off shots and shit, that's Laird. Yeah, man. I thought that was cool.
All of him diving. I'm sorry, duck diving under waves and everything.
Yeah, they almost killed him at one point, by the way. They almost killed everybody in this whole movie, but they almost killed Laird Hamilton. Can you imagine Laird Hamilton dies doing Waterworld? And then that movie comes
that
out.
motherfucker goes into a sauna for like 3 hours a day at like 200 degrees. He like cooks himself like a steak in his sauna that he built in his backyard.
He's just getting over his traumas from doing this movie, probably. There was 2,000 costumes were made, over 2,000, costume designer John Bloomfield said. And so to get into the set of the atoll, the city, this thing, the flotilla, as Devin Max said, this thing was over 1/4 of a mile in circumference, the size of a football stadium, and contained 1 million tons of steel. 1 million tons of steel floating out in the open waters. It cost $22 million just to build.
How did they build it?
They built it in those warehouses, in the sugar warehouses in Hawaii.
And then they just tugged it on a boat into the open water?
It was
how'd they get out there?
Yeah, they would have whole days where they would have to float this thing out into the ocean and shit. It was like a gigantic undertaking moving this set around, basically. That was part of the whole expense and the problem of this movie was floating these things around, floating these huge sets.
And they're not like floating these things around in a lagoon.
Right.
They're floating these things around in the open water of Hawaii. Mind you, Hawaii is like one of the surf capitals of the world because of its fucking waves.
Yeah.
They might have been better doing it on like the Gulf Coast where it's mostly calm.
I don't know why they just wouldn't build it out here in Tampa off of Texas or something.
At one point, the sets of this movie, these big steel sets, they used up all the available steel in the Hawaiian Islands. Every single ounce of steel in Hawaii was used to build Waterworld at one point. And when they ran out, they had to fly in steel from California. They had to build a new runway at Kona Airport to get all the steel there. They had to extend it by 1/4 of a mile to accommodate the planes that were bringing in this steel. Dev and Max, we were talking about this on the last episode about movies that get made where you have to invent shit and you have to terraform the earth to make this movie.
You build something to blow it
right,
up,
right. Yeah.
And again, all this had to have come up before they started filming. I'm sure there was pre-production done. Did they not calculate all this in advance and be like, this movie is not worth doing?
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Have you ever tried to do a production schedule on an April?
Right. This is what happens. He's like, I think we've got enough steel, dude.
Yeah, but
you miss one or two things. You forget about this line item here or there.
It's not like we're going to use all the steel in Hawaii. It's not like that's going to happen, dude. Just chill.
Right.
Let's build a runway.
That's such a cokehead thing to do. I just need all the steel in Hawaii. Give me it all.
God damn it, fine. We'll just build a runway.
How much do you expect this floating thing to cost? Oh, like $20 million. Oh, okay, sure.
Sure.
No.
So what are we gonna do? We're just gonna blow it up.
So you're telling it's like but for sure somebody at some point had to say so the budget for this movie is 22 or 100 million, right? Kevin Costner had to have already cost 15 million off the rip, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
So take that out.
Yeah.
Now you got 22 million dollars to build this atoll. So that's 20% of the budget already is gone just to build the city that not even the whole movie takes
in the
place
first
in.
20 minutes of the movie. Yeah.
That's why I'm convinced there was a script. There was a version of this movie, like a script that had a lot more cities and a lot more stuff, but it's $20 million to build one,
right?
And you're trying to float it out into the ocean.
Yeah.
It's like there's the multiple versions that have come out over the years, that get longer and give more detail because there is the footage, I guess, exists. The content is there,
right? Yeah, but
I would love to read the original script of this movie.
Yeah, there was a novelization of it after the movie. I'd like to. That
makes more sense too. Yeah,
for sure. Mm-hmm. But Charles Gordon, the producer, he saw the model of the atoll and he heard how big the real set had to be, and he genuinely thought that they were like pranking him.
Joking?
Yeah, he thought they were kidding around. He's like, that's hilarious. What a dream, right?
Yeah, right.
But
They're like, we want it to be a shit ton of steel so we can jump. Not only do we need it to be big, but we need to be able to jump jet skis off of it. Like,
You're like,
like the X Games
he
ramps.
just does another line. And they told him, look, man, it has to be this big because of the trimaran. You know, the coolest part of the movie, the
to be able to
trimaran
drive it in
has
there?
to pull in here and everything's got to look
Oh,
good.
that's true.
Yeah.
The fucking catamaran, they call it a trimaran.
Right.
That's not a real
Yeah,
term.
yeah.
They just put an extra hull on there.
Right.
and
Yeah.
made something up. Again, invented
It's also
something for this
mutos
movie.
who drive it, you know.
Yeah, super mutos.
Mutos. Pure hydro, dude.
The trimaran, that thing was 60 feet long.
Mm-hmm.
So to have it in scale, in frame,
Yeah.
they had to build it that
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
But what they didn't need to do was make it completely functional that big. They could have made like a small part of it walkable and doable, and then just put like
Again,
you know,
and most of
foam
this,
everywhere else.
I
Yeah.
still insist most of this could have been shot on a soundstage.
Yeah.
Like you could have built that set, and like the scenes that weren't like the wide shots could have just been shot on a set.
It's not
like,
as fun, dude.
Oh my God.
Then we don't get to go to Hawaii. You take away my Hawaii trip, you know? I'm going to be on jet skis in Hawaii for who knows how long.
I don't think shooting in Hawaii was the best idea. They could have done it somewhere.
And honestly,
They totally
you could have done the
could have done
wides of
somewhere
miniatures.
Yeah, yeah.
There was a way to do this movie for half
Like-
the money.
Anywhere but Hawaii,
Well,
probably.
they got
Brazil. There's a ton of places.
They got to work building this thing, and the crew they constructed it in sections. They worked 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for 3 months to build this thing.
That's gonna be my question. How long did it take?
Yeah, each section required.
Who did? Did they get local labor?
Yeah, they got local everything,
They
and
flew that in.
that's
too.
when they started getting ripped by the local contractors, just making serious dough off of this. They rented 4 cranes to lift everything into the water. The full set was built on a rotating platform so that when filming just off the Hawaiian coast, the camera could always film towards the open sea. But however, for scenes on the ocean open, it had to be towed miles away from land, usually taking up most of the day. So, yeah, it was not
Wait,
good.
so they pulled it back every day? I figured once they put it out in the ocean, it just kind of sat
No,
there.
you gotta pull that thing back. It's $20 million set.
yeah,
Things can go different.
Yeah, you'll lose that thing forever. That's a $20 million playground for a helicopter billionaire guy or something. Now.
I figured they all just stayed out there in the open ocean during filming. Like I literally thought they
They're
like
still out there.
your barracks, I guess, are just like a cruise ship, and then like you just like I don't know.
Yeah.
Bro, how funny would that be if the set for Waterworld was just floating around the Pacific and people like lost on shipwreck, just like come upon this ghost structure of fucking Waterworld remnants.
It's like you're on a boat on acid one day and come across this thing. It's like, Jesus Christ, man, the world's ended.
There's like etchings in the wall. Fuck Kevin and shit.
Fuck Kevin. That's Kevin Reynolds, the director, etched that into the wall. Actually, yeah.
Yeah.
So this is where we get into some fun stuff because nobody bothered to take a look at the fucking weather before they started filming in Hawaii around this time. Literally, they said Universal didn't even consider this. That the weather in Hawaii.
So they decided to film during
hurricane season on cocaine. So the production was ravaged by 3 major hurricanes and a few more just like little small ones here and there. At one point, the main city, the $22 million, 2 billion pound structure, completely wiped out by a hurricane.
What?
Completely wiped out. There was another set. There was going to be a whole faction, the Slavers. They had an entirely other $20 million set built to be the Slaverland. That got wiped out. They basically had to rewrite the script again because they're like, well, we're not going to build that shit again.
They never even shot on it?
Never even shot on it. If they did, they didn't use any of it. It is gone.
Wait, did they build the atoll again?
They built it again. So basically, this set isn't $20 million; it's a $40 million atoll. Yeah, now we're getting to half of the budget around there.
They built it again.
Because no one looked at the weather. The Weather Channel could have saved them $20 million at least, but no one bothered to watch the fucking
It's
weatherman.
literally that part of Tropic Thunder where they blow up the set by accident. Like,
Yeah. They were like, oh shit, it's a hurricane. I bet all the locals in Hawaii were like, yeah, dude, it's a hurricane. Like, you didn't see this come. We've been knowing about this shit for months. Somebody could have just asked us.
what?
I mean, even to not like during hurricane season, like it's a season.
The whole season?
Yeah.
Someone would think maybe there'll be a hurricane at some point.
It's not always.
Again, yeah.
Oh
Why
my
ship
God.
this into Hawaii?
At the very least, I want to know. At the very least, Laird Hamilton one day was like, "What are we doing here right now? Like, this is not when we come to Hawaii,
Not
man."
one person brought this
No,
up,
bro.
You told me not one person.
Laird fucking lives
That's
there.
true. Laird
He
wants
lives
the
in
waves.
Hawaii.
Laird's like, yes, let's absolutely film this in hurricane season because that's when I'm gonna get the biggest fucking waves.
Yeah.
When it wasn't a hurricane, every single day was 45-mile-an-hour winds. And every single day was so choppy waters that they would have to find windows where it was like smooth enough to film on, and everybody is just throwing up, dude. Like the crew, the cast, everybody's seasick, sunburn, covered in salt water.
Oh my God.
We're gonna get into like people are dying
What?
basically.
People
I mean,
died?
almost no, but I'm shocked. I'm shocked that no one died.
Actually,
making
that
this
is
movie.
surprising. No one died shooting
shocked.
this movie. I'm surprised all of them didn't die shooting this movie.
Kevin,
I mean, parts of people.
parts of people died. Parts of Kevin Reynolds died forever. Kevin Reynolds was never the same after directing this film. There's no doubt about it. Kevin Costner was on set for 157 days of the shoot. He worked 6 days a week. He wound up putting $25 million of his own out of his pocket money into this movie, which I imagine it probably came from Tig Productions for making Dancing with Wolves.
Right,
That's
yeah.
where I'm guessing it
Yeah.
came from.
His own money is probably a very
Yeah.
loose term there, but
still, you know,
he believed in this project that much.
well,
Yeah.
I mean, it became his baby, and also, dude, I imagine after putting $25 million in, now it's the real Kevin Costner show. Okay,
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah. If you put that much money, it is your movie now.
It is your movie now.
Yeah.
No one can tell Kevin Costner how Waterworld's gonna go except for him at this
Yeah.
point. Not even Universal.
Yeah.
He's like, this isn't studio money. This is my money.
And we're in the middle of the ocean. Who are you gonna call? Who's gonna stop me? Who's gonna stop me in the middle of the ocean?
Also, during filming,
Tell those execs to come out here and talk to me about it.
huge shocker, but during filming, Cindy, his wife, filed a divorce against him. And it got really nasty. They said Kevin Costner was a lot of fun to be around during this horrible divorce while he's out here.
Oh God, those poor PAs, dude. I feel
my
so
God.
bad.
And he almost died twice. One time, they tied him to the mast of the Trimera, and it just kind of floated out to sea without anybody, like...
He just floated away.
It just floated away.
I heard about that. I heard
They were
about
like-
that. He just floated
They're like...
away.
They're like...
Go get him! Go get him!
That's also how Kevin Costner fired people.
Imagine the AD. He's like, I got two questions. Where's Kevin Costner and where's the Trimera? And someone looks out into the ocean and they're like, oh, there he is. And he's tied to the mast, probably just like, hey! Hey!
Imagine that tone on set and how pissed he was when he walked back on.
Oh my god, dude. People were, that was not a
Yeah,
happy
like
day.
everybody is so quiet. And
So
it's like
quiet.
the middle of the ocean. And he's just sunburnt and salty. Pissed off.
Everyone's just silent. No one says a word when he gets back. Not one word. Not one.
And then
When he gets back, I wouldn't be there. I would leave. I would leave set and be like, I have a family emergency in Hawaii. I gotta go. Because when Kevin Costner gets back to set after we almost killed him, just let him float out into the ocean, I don't imagine it's gonna be a very fun day for the rest of the day.
I'm so confused how that even happened.
Oh my god, me too, dude. Me
You
too.
just tied him up and then he left?
Yeah.
Like-
Yep. And then he left. And then
he
bye. He probably did it on purpose. He's like, you know what? Fuck you, dude. You can
Like
handle
that's
this.
like after that, I'm sure he was like, "Do you want to get to the mast? Do you want to get the mast? I'll put you on that damn mast, all right?"
It's punishment. Punishment. He almost got killed by Devin Max. You guys, the big sail pole thingy in the front.
Oh,
The boom.
Yeah,
He
it's called the
he almost
boom.
got domed by that one good time. But
That's pretty common
that's-
though. A lot
that
of people
sounds
get
like
knocked the
pretty
fuck out by that.
yeah. He had to look wet, of course, the whole time. Like the entire movie, he has to look wet. So they're just dumping buckets of water on him between takes. And they said it got to the point where he's screaming at these guys who are dumping the water on him. And they have to do it. They have to do it. And he's just like, you motherfuckers.
Bro, fuck a sequel. We have to do a behind the scenes
Yes,
scripted
dude.
version of how this got
Oh my god!
made.
And part of the budget was he insisted they CGI his hair because he was balding, and they
I noticed,
insisted that they CGI hair onto his head.
They did a bad job.
They probably because they were like, yeah, sure, we'll do that.
CGI wasn't really that great. It was 1992.
Yeah, that's true. It was a different time. Different time for CGI, but yeah.
He had to be bare feet at all time, so moleskin was attached to the soles of his feet to protect him from sharp objects and stuff. But he kept stubbing his toes on all the steel shit. He's just walking around these like huge steel sets barefoot, and he keeps
my
stubbing his toe. He's covered in water.
They
He's
have
getting
a third
divorced.
hole on that boat that's not supposed to be there.
What? I'm so confused why they didn't just do his costume of some sort of hat or like a bandana or something.
Because they wanted to dump water on him. 'Cause they had been on set with him for a while.
No, but if
Just
the
dump
problem,
water.
I'm talking about the hairline
That's
thing. Like
the
he could've
funniest
just done like a
thing.
sea bandana or something. Like
Can you imagine after him being on that fucking pole tied up and he comes back and the set is quiet and somebody throws a fucking water on his face?
He's just standing there, so angry, and they just it's like, sorry, Kev, you got to be wet for this next scene.
he's probably so cold.
Oh my god.
I wish I was fucking up fish in the water to see
Oh my
that
god. But look, it's funny though, because that being said, this man, while everyone else they're forced to live in these uninsulated condominiums that were like on the beach, and I'm pretty sure a few people like slept in those like warehouses and stuff. Yeah. Basically everyone is sleeping like almost outside at this point. It hit 125 degrees on some days of like, and they're all just sitting there. And the cost man is staying in an oceanfront villa with a butler, a chef, a private swimming pool, and it costs $4,500 a night to stay there in 1993 or some shit.
Oh my god.
So he's definitely like, he's.
That's why he wanted to film in
That's
Hawaii.
why
He's like,
when he's not on.
I just want to go live in Hawaii with a butler for a while.
Also, man, look, I gotta say, in my opinion, that's just gonna make it harder on yourself. You gotta go back to that set every day after you come home to your butler and your swimming pool and your like Hawaiian vacation, and
Why
then
would
you
you
gotta.
want the swimming pool? I would be so sick of water.
Yeah, for sure. Well, maybe I'd maybe swimming in some chlorine water rather than salt water for once might be nice. But
I don't know, Universal, if you're looking for Waterworld 2, I don't mind going and staying in a villa and then spending
neither.
time on a
neither.
sailboat.
At this point, I don't want.
Yeah.
The only thing I want from this franchise is I want like a disaster artist style making of movie. Like I want like a dramatized.
That's
making
what
of.
we need, dude. Seriously. We need like the true story of
I want the
Waterworld.
disaster
and
artist
then
for this. Like
script that
just dumping
shit.
water on him.
I can't It's my favorite
Sorry,
visual image.
Sorry, Kevin. Yeah, Max. Sorry, Kevin. Sorry, Kevin. But he was not the only one who almost died. Jean Triplehorn, who played Helen, and Tina Majorino, who was the little girl, they nearly drowned on the very first day of filming Waterworld. They almost drowned. The trimaran they were on sank. That was like one of the boats sank. First day, by the way. First day, this thing almost sinks. And it somehow dragged them like in with it, I guess, and they almost drowned. And apparently Gene Triplehorn.
Well, that catamaran is like a T, and that's upside down. So if it's high winds, like 45-mile-an-hour winds, like you said, that bitch is going to tip over, and they're going to go right with it and be trapped and do whatever.
And with those nets too, like the net bottom it had, you easily get your foot like caught in it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a little girl that almost drowned too. Jean Triplehorn, though, who played Helen.
Yeah.
She said she had a real problem because after the first day of almost drowning, she never wanted to see water again, basically. Like, she still, to this day, doesn't go by swimming pools, she says. She has a fear of water now. And now she has to film all of Waterworld.
Oh, my God. You still got the rest of the movie to film.
Yeah, she still got the rest of the movie to go. Yeah. And she kind of was like, yeah, that's great. Also, Tina Majorito, the little girl, was constantly attacked by jellyfish.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, the crew started calling her Jellyfish Candy, which I would suggest not.
Yeah.
Just don't, you know.
Don't call any child any candy.
90s were a different time.
It was the 90s. We were on cocaine.
Oh, my God. The stunt coordinator, Norman Howell, Devin Max, you'll know about this shit. He got hit with decompression sickness during filming an underwater scene. He was
probably coming up too quick or something.
Yeah. He was rushed to a hospital in Honolulu via helicopter. They had to helicopter him to the hospital. And he recovered, but apparently...
He must have had a problem.
Was he scuba diving or free diving? Was it just... was he at compressed air? Like, he was scuba diving or...
I don't know. They just say it was an underwater shot that they were doing, an underwater scene, and he got sick. It was like life-threatening, basically. He came back to the set, but he got fucked up. Wow. Yeah, is that the bins?
Yeah, it's essentially that.
Yeah. Okay.
Is there anything on how they shot the part where like the city's underwater?
Yeah, that was a model. Okay. They used a model for that.
So they didn't just build a city underwater.
They probably would have.
At this rate, it's
they probably would have.
What is the most difficult way for us to shoot this movie?
They actually discovered Atlantis and fucked it up so bad that they couldn't tell anybody that they had actually found it.
Don't tell anybody. They'll never know. They'll never know the bigger boat was out there.
Again, it feels like this movie was made by people who've never made a movie before.
Yeah. But that's the funny thing that you say that, because the underwater city, they did use a tank. They used a tank. They use it to do space training. It's the same type of tank.
Okay, yeah.
And they shot models in a tank there. So they did use a tank for the cities.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, for the underwater stuff. That was some cool shit, by the way. I thought that was awesome.
That was cool. It was cool.
The underwater city. And like I said, Laird Hamilton almost died. He also got washed away at sea at some point. They almost killed Laird Hamilton in Waterworld.
Well, how did he almost die?
It didn't really say a whole lot of specifics. It just said at some point he also found himself like way too far out in the ocean.
I mean, I'm surprised it didn't happen more often. Honestly, the scene where he throws the girl in the water, I'm like, he could have like actually just floated away, like like a shark just.
Yeah, and apparently everybody on set was.
Yeah, like the scene just keeps going on, and then cut, and then. All right, go get her. Where is she? I don't know.
It's like, I wasn't watching. I mean, dude, somebody let Kevin Costner float out. You know, people are not paying attention. There's too much cocaine being done in Hawaii right now. But
it's actually, and everyone's sick too. That's the other thing. Everyone's nauseous.
Oh, dude, they were all eating ginger snaps. They said they had like this huge supply of ginger snaps at some point because the entire crew, they're all eating ginger snaps all day. They found that was like the only thing that would kind of help their seasickness, you know. The press starts to hear about this. The press, if you go and look at all these old like interviews and stuff, basically it was like Universal is making the most expensive movie ever made.
Yeah,
and then
I imagine that's like a big part of the marketing.
Yeah, and the press started getting word that, you know, Kevin Costner and Kevin Reynolds are screaming at each other. They got word that Kevin had put $20 million of his own money into it. They got word that like people are almost dying. At some point, there was a rumor going around that 2 crew members had actually died making the movie. Basically, just the press went wild with it.
I'm so surprised they didn't pull the plug on this movie.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, they're probably about to until Kevin Costner was like, I'll front 20 million
probably.
more. Yeah.
But yeah, the press got there to visit the set. And there were $60 million into their $100 million budget already. And the press gets there, and it's pretty early on in the movie. So the press gets there and just has a...
Day 3.
Yeah, day 3. The first day, and they're pulling out those actors from being drowned in the ocean, and they're $60 million in, you know. And,
Yeah, we're ready to go.
Literally Tropic Thunder.
and so after they were... The press basically was there for like a few days, and they were like, you can't be here anymore. They banned the press from being on set anymore.
I don't blame them.
Because they were telling people what was going on set. And they started a relentless attack on the movie at this point. So, yeah, and they said that these guys had died, these 2 guys. The director, he was contacted by journalists who had been informed that these 2 guys died, and the producer, Charles Gordon, had to like go and smooth things over and tell everybody, no, they didn't die, they're all good, you know, they're still there.
Did they die?
Who knows?
Oh.
Who knows, to be honest. They said no, but maybe some people said yes. Maybe the guys who died said yes. But Charles Gordon, the producer, said that he thinks the bad press cost them $50 million in the box office.
Wow.
That's what he calculated while he was on cocaine.
Yeah, I mean, you can play Monday morning quarterback.
Exactly.
But there's no such thing as bad press. Like, all of this would just make people want to see it more.
Maybe. Yeah.
Like-
Because, dude, Titanic wasn't good either. Like, the filming of Titanic, they filmed in Mexico, and James Cameron almost killed a bunch of people, too. Like, apparently, like, those people falling from that set when the ship goes under and stuff, that was, apparently a lot of people got really bad hurt on that set.
I'd
as
imagine
well.
so, actually,
I can imagine.
Titanic would be a good episode one of these days, too.
It would be.
Yeah.
After Waterworld, though, it's got to go a while.
Yeah, we
bunch
got
of
we got to
people
stop with the sea movies.
sliding down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Titanic had a bunch of...
We're gonna make a movie about a ton of people dying in a ship sinking. What could possibly go wrong?
Well, and it basically came out that James Cameron went to Mexico on purpose because he was like, well, they're not going to...
There's less laws
SAG's
there?
not down there, baby.
There's less laws?
Yeah,
Yeah.
send your SAG representative to Mexico. Just try it. This is where the firings began.
Okay.
The Kevin Costner firings. Mark Isham, who was initially hired to compose the score, recorded basically only demos. He was like 25% done with his job, and Kevin Costner hated it. He hated the score. He said it was too ethnic and bleak. Too ethnic.
Interesting choice
and
of
bleak.
words.
Yeah, very interesting choice of words. I don't quite know what Kevin Costner meant by too ethnic, but I can guess. You know.
It was in
trying to-
1992. I'm sure it was like NWA.
I'm trying to remember what the soundtrack was like. It's like it's
Yeah.
kind of
It's not there. It's very not memorable. Like,
No,
whatever he ended
yeah.
up greenlighting was not worth the
And
trouble.
it was fishy. It was fishy. He said it contrasted the film's futuristic and adventurous tone. So Isham offered to try again. Like, okay, that's fine. You don't like it. I'll make another score. And Costner was like, nah, you're out. That'll do. Thank you for your service. And he was replaced by James Newton Howard, who approached the film as a swashbuckling adventurer. So basically just white. You know, he just went white with it. Not, God forbid it be ethnic. Because Howard came aboard so late into the film's production, Hans Zimmer actually gave him access to a sample library because he was like way already behind schedule, you know.
Yeah.
So Hans Zimmer had something to do with the score as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I like me some Hans Zimmer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hans Zimmer's like, okay, this is shit, this is shit, this is shit. You can have these 3.
You made it work.
So yeah, he fired this guy. Then that led to writers getting fired left and right. Writers having to rewrite shit. He doesn't like it. He rewrites it all. And eventually, like I was telling you guys about, Kevin Reynolds, he didn't fire Kevin Reynolds. Kevin Reynolds left. The director literally just left the movie.
At what point in the movie?
I think they were like halfway to a 3/4 in or
Yeah.
something, and he quit.
I that does not surprise me. I'm
Yeah.
surprised he didn't. I'm surprised he didn't go with like 3 directors.
I
Well,
know.
I guess because he took over directing after
Yeah,
that.
he took over
okay.
directing. Even like I said, even in the editing bay, he did the editing and
Wow.
stuff as well. They finished this movie somehow. They finally wrapped this damn movie after 160 days on open water, and I imagine just a lot of people are
Sigh of relief.
sigh of relief. A lot of people probably like went home to their families and like no one saw them ever again.
I never want to see water
Do you
again.
think
yeah.
they like? Do you think like at rap after like the martini speech when he calls cut, like they go to dump a cooler on Kevin, but they like, whoa, hey, maybe we shouldn't.
He just shoots them. He's like, this is where I kill you.
How long was it? Like half
Yeah,
of a year?
it was half of a year. It was like, and straight, like 6 days a week, 12-hour shoots at least, you know. Just basically half of a year on the water, in the ocean. I can't even...
So they filmed like for the duration of her.
Right, yeah. As soon as hurricane season was over, they were done filming. Yeah.
They were like, this isn't a challenge anymore. We don't want to be here.
I cannot imagine
I can't.
the party. Like, either it probably wasn't the night they wrapped, because everybody probably slept for like 20 hours straight. But the party after wrapping this thing, I can't even... Everybody's sunburned, tired as shit.
I can't imagine doing this. I like.
Well, did it make more on premiere or in
So-
the first years or
So
over
it
time?
opens.
like
Like
a cult
basically,
thing?
this is the thing about this movie is technically it was a flop, but only because open weekend. Open weekend, it made 80 million, which is not great when you consider that 235 got spent. But yeah, it was this huge flop. It was nicknamed Kevin's Gate and Fish Tar because there were these historic flops. One in 1980 called Heaven's Gate. That was a big one. And one called Ishtar in 1987. That was so they're calling it Kevin's Gate.
But
Fish Tar.
if they didn't do the during the hurricane and having to spend all that money
Right.
twice,
Yeah.
it would have been kind of
Would have been gangbusters. So yeah, it did eventually that year earn a profit. When it went worldwide, they made their money back. They made $264 million worldwide in 1995. But 55% of that, $145 million of it, went to the studio, and the remainder to the theaters, basically.
Right.
So $145 million, by the way. They budgeted for $100 million, and then they get $145 back. The studios, so that's 45. Jesus, that's huge. They signed the contract for a lot of money back. Anyway, and as of nowadays, it has definitely turned a profit now. But still, it's now just now broken to where it's made a profit of like $10 million. You know,
Wow.
to
Yeah.
this
Like
day.
years later. Yeah.
So it's not a. It is known as a huge bomb. It's not like the biggest bomb ever for sure.
Right. Yeah. No, it could have been way worse.
They're gonna spend more on distributing the royalty checks for that $10 million, or from the mental health appointments that the post-traumatic stress
dude,
is
this
going
must
to
be a
cause
nightmare to
from
insure,
sending out
like,
those royalty
All the
checks.
proceeds went to therapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This must have been a nightmare to insure. Like.
Yeah. And then the
There was no stories of like a wave wiping out like $100,000 cameras or anything
oh,
like that.
I'm sure.
Like,
I'm
yeah.
sure that happened all the time. I'm sure that happened all the time.
Yeah.
Just the big ones are the ones we hear about. These
Right,
big sets
yeah.
being destroyed and
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah, a wave and things shifted and one just went.
Absolutely.
right away.
You don't even need the full wave. All you need is like a large enough droplet in the wrong spot.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely, that happened.
Yeah.
Had to have happened. No doubt about it.
Lenses, all sorts of stuff.
I mean, somebody just forgot to put something away on deck or kick something in the fucking
Yeah,
water.
lenses.
Film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were still doing film then.
So what if they somebody
kicks
just
in
opens
a
a
whole
bin
bunch
and
of
Yeah.
film.
ruins a bunch of
Totally.
shots that have been
Because I mean, imagine
exposed.
we didn't even really get into like, there's the sets of the day are either the giant flotilla or just the trimaran, but you've got 20 boats out there.
Or the oil
and the
tanker.
oil tanker. You got 20 boats out there
That's
with
it.
your crew and your cameras and fucking crafty. They had to.
You have multiple kind of barges, boats to
All the
operate, all the prop boats, radios and safety and controllers for all of them.
It's probably a gas ship.
Yeah.
They probably have a place to fuel up, a fuel barge out there.
Probably like a catering barge. I'm guaranteed they bring that stuff out there, like a catering barge, a gas barge, like just to when people aren't on the water,
come in here.
have something to.
They
to
did
stand
say
on,
when people had to go to the bathroom, they had to drive them all the way back to shore to go to the bathroom.
What?
Yeah, like when.
Oh, then maybe not, because you bring porta potties. We had porta potties, right? No?
Yeah, but you don't want to be in a porta potty in the heat on big waves
Just
on a
floating
barge
around.
in the middle of the fucking ocean. Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm sure, like, the guys were like, just piss over the side.
Yeah,
And all the ladies
I'm
said,
sure there was
we'll bring you
quite
back.
a few
Sorry.
pissing over the side going on.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Which I'm surprised that Costner just didn't have, like, a luxury yacht
That's what
out
I'm
there
saying.
in
Yeah.
conjunction with his
For
villa.
himself.
Well, he's
Yeah.
already spending $9,000 a day on his hotel room, so on his lodging.
Man.
Wait, $9,000 a day for 160.
Yeah, and that's just the calculation. Like what it was $4,500 in 1992, so basically like $9,000 a night. You know, that's like what it equates to
In
these.
today's money.
So yeah. Actually, let's do the math here for 160. So he spent about $720,000 on the place that he was staying at. Which I guess when you think about his $20 million that he put into the budget, you know, he spent about $1 million just to sleep in luxury while everybody else is like sleeping in the sun and shit. Yeah, they were not happy about that. That was a
Well, I guess he paid. For
Yeah,
for
paid
sure
for it.
Yeah, and I mean by this point, you know.
But don't you think your crew would have been like, come on, you're Robin Hood.
Yeah, right.
What are you doing?
Anybody on that set who didn't know who he was and just knew of him from Robin Hood did not think he was Robin Hood by the time they were leaving. I guarantee it.
Oh my god.
Guys, bro.
So the movie release, there was a tie-in video game. It was released for the Nintendo Virtual Boy.
Oh god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. The failed VR thing.
Everything about this movie was like, it was on like the most failed on the failed console ever.
Failure.
The attempt to do VR in the 90s.
Oh my
like,
god.
Oh man.
Yeah. It was accompanied by a novelization and 3 themed attractions at Universal Studios Hollywood, Universal Studios Singapore, and Universal Studios Japan, called Waterworld, a live SeaWorld spectacular.
Wait, is the Hollywood show still running?
Yeah, still running.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
All 3 are still running as of this day. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
In Orlando?
No, Singapore, Japan.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I know for a fact because the Orlando one's the only one I've been to, and like I know they don't
I never
have
heard
it.
of that.
Right.
So.
Oh, you never heard of it, Max? Dude. Oh, it's great. It's Waterworld, the live spectacular, and it's basically the scene in the flotilla.
Yeah, I assumed that's what it would be.
Yeah, but they do it.
So like what they do at MGM with the Indiana Jones.
Right.
and all
But
that
this time, Drake,
live action.
it is
Exactly.
Yeah.
The way they could have done
yeah.
it to begin with. That's what I'm saying. Like.
And dudes are on jet skis, jumping all over
Yeah.
the place, and apparently water hits you like in the 9th row. Like you
Oh,
get
wow.
soaked going to this show. Yeah, and we've been talking about it a little bit here and there, but there is a preferred 3-hour cut of director Kevin Reynolds. It was drastically edited back to a 135-minute theatrical version by Kevin Costner when he took over the editing. And he was trying to recoup some of the money. He was cutting this 3 hours back to, like what he thought would sell better. Because he had just done Wyatt Earp. That was 3 hours. It was a bomb.
Yeah.
Which I don't know why in his head he was like, well,
And
if Wyatt Earp didn't do well.
But the new longest one.
Yeah.
Right. That's the newest.
Yeah, there's
right?
one-
The very long one.
Yeah.
And that one I heard had Jack Black.
What?
Or something.
Oh my God.
What was some of the stuff cut? Like I guess the other factions.
The
and,
other
like,
factions, a lot of religious stuff. Like
Yeah.
Dennis Hopper, his name is Deacon because he is a deacon of the religion that lives on this Exxon Valdez, or the D's. Yeah. And it's do a big line of coke. It's a religion on the Exxon Valdez. Dennis Hopper. Yeah. By the way, Kevin Reynolds and Kevin Costner got back together 17 years later. Hatfields and McCoy. Hatfield and McCoy's. That was Kevin Reynolds and Kevin Costner coming back together. I
So
didn't see the show.
you said he quit Hollywood for a while?
He quit Hollywood for a while.
I don't
but-
blame him, yeah.
I
I want to quit Hollywood, dude. I don't want to make movies anymore after
What did
hearing
he
this.
go
Like,
do?
I don't.
Just go make like pottery.
Probably.
Yeah, I want to go do pottery in Arizona.
He
Like, I
became
don't
a
want.
cobbler in Italy.
I don't want any part of this world anymore.
Yeah.
Like, it's-
Oh, and David
Waterworld has killed my ambition to live.
David Twohy or Twohy, however you say it, the writer. He went on to write Riddick, the Chronicles of Riddick.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
So he kept with that like futuristic.
Yeah, that makes
apocalypse
sense.
type of
Yeah,
vibe.
like really lore based. Yeah,
Yeah.
really heavily lore based
Yeah.
storytelling.
Well, that's all I got written for Waterworld, y'all.
Man,
I think that's the story.
what an incredible journey.
Fucking 2.5 hours later.
It's
What a light episode.
gonna be a light episode.
Waterworld has been.
Oh man, even last night I was like, damn.
It's been an adventure.
It has been, right? It's been ups and downs, everything between.
I cannot believe that, like, this had to have come up beforehand. How many problems was going to be if this? There was so many easier ways to film this movie. It didn't
Steven
have to
Spielberg
cost us
said,
much.
"Don't do it."
Yeah,
He said, "Don't do it."
Well, construction, the open ocean, hurricanes. You know, all these people, where to put them, how to feed them.
so
you
many
know,
logistical
like,
problems. with
cocaine.
this.
Cocaine.
And if the stunt show proves you could have just shot this on a set.
Hey man, listen.
Oh man.
But
But then you wouldn't have Kevin Costner getting buckets of water
floating
floating off into
their
the
faces.
dude,
I totally think they could have done it in better location. It would've
Yeah,
been much
and not
sharper.
during hurricane season.
I think we all took
And not
we all
during-
took away the same thing though, that we wish that there were cameras rolling on Kevin Costner floating out in the
Yeah,
middle of the ocean.
I need a disaster artist style like movie about this.
You know, I bet you in some executive's vault at Universal
He's mic'd up.
exists some weird angle that some pissed off cameraman was like, fuck this.
keep rolling, keep rolling.
Hey,
Some random.
I've heard how he talks to cameramen. I wouldn't be surprised at all.
I would love.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
man. You gotta
You gotta
respect,
respect
the
those damn
cameraman.
cameramen.
I would love to sit down and have a beer with like someone who's like a PA on the set.
Oh my
And
god.
just like hear the stories.
Absolutely.
I would. Oh my god! Because you can't really quit. Where are you gonna go? You're
That'd
be
stuck in Hawaii.
yeah.
It's
you're
not like you
stuck.
can just go home.
Also, imagine the sunburn.
Oh my god!
Imagine. I mean,
Oh my god!
I just it's one thing to be out there for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, like out
6
in
months.
the open ocean. Yeah.
And you keep having to go
Yeah,
back
and forth. Oh
Every
my
day.
god, dude.
And eventually, like, I'm not getting on
No,
the boat tomorrow.
like there's just no
I'm not
way.
doing
There's no sleep.
no
You're not
way.
getting any sleep for 6 months.
Yeah, and then and then you're in your.
And also, that transition from boat to shore, you wouldn't sleep because you'd be rocking,
Oh,
like, still in your
yeah,
head
that was
kind
just
of
about
for
to
a
say that.
while.
You're laying in your unair conditioned like condominium.
You might as well just sleep on a
Yeah.
boat. It might be
Yeah,
more easy.
I probably
You
would.
have to-
That's what I'm saying.
It's just like fall asleep on on that
Yeah.
trimaran.
I would be sleeping in.
I do think that.
No,
after
I'd
a
be
while,
sleeping in Kevin Costner's
been better.
room. He just wouldn't know it. It's such a big place. I would sneak in every night and find my own little corner, you know.
No, don't lie. You would get on your knees and beg for a job too. Just like,
They're like, why is he getting to sleep in Kevin Costner's bed every night? Like, how does he get this privilege?
Kevin Costner's like, you're super talented, kid. I'm gonna make you a star.
He's the fluffer.
The fluffer. You just become Kevin Costner's boyfriend on set so you can sleep in there every night.
You guys are wondering
Did they
why
pay
he has
people
such
more?
a thing against, sex trafficking.
Like, did they pay people extra for like this?
I don't, dude.
Because why would you accept this job?
If you're talking about like a bump, I don't know.
You get to go to Hawaii.
Yeah.
You get a free
Yeah.
trip to Hawaii.
Well, no, it's more about what do you think the movie's going to do? Is it going to win awards? Is it going to be noteworthy? Is it going to make your career?
If somebody said Universal is making the most expensive movie ever in 2022,
We
do you want to
absolutely
be in it?
Yeah. Yeah.
And be like, probably. Because even if it's
Yeah.
a disaster,
Well, I mean, because I'm just
it'll
talking
do
about like the
something.
bit roles, like I'm talking like the PAs, like the grips, like
Yeah.
like there's so many. I
Oh.
mean, a job's a job, but like there's so many other gigs that don't require you to be in on open water for 6 months.
Yeah,
Like,
it does sound cool. I mean, look, there's a big part of me where it sounds cool. Just like how, like, I would love to do Navy SEALs training too. You know, like I would love to live on the water for 6 months and become like a leathery, tan, skinny guy. Don't get me wrong, but also, yeah, you got to know what you're in for.
I wonder how many people are involved in the total.
That's a
yeah,
good
I'm
question.
sure. That's the thing. I'm
Hundreds.
sure so many of the crew like didn't stick around for the whole thing. There's probably like a lot of people quitting, a lot of people like
see.
cycling out.
There's,
Like,
twice as many as there should be.
Like
Right.
rotating
Every
crew,
month there's
like
an
every
entirely
month the
new
crew
crew.
rotates
Right,
out.
yeah.
Right.
Like it's a war zone. Like, sorry, these troops are mentally fatigued.
The
We need
replacements.
to bring in some fresh meat.
The replacements are coming in.
yeah, every month there was
The
a new
filming
crew, I
of this
promise.
was very. Many actors say it was reminiscent of Full Metal Jacket,
Yeah. Oh, dude, this says,
or any Vietnam movie.
dude, this says opening weekend. This is a little different. It grossed in the USA that 80 million that I was talking about. Why bomb? But this says opening weekend. It made 20 million
Wow.
after that 175 million dollar budget.
Oh my god.
I wonder if in the contract Kevin's money was first in, first out.
He got 35 million out of the 25 that he put in.
Just seething, dude. He must have been so mad.
Oh my god, man. I'm gonna try to find out.
I wonder if they thought that was going to be their big action.
Yeah,
film,
yeah.
One of those kind
Yeah.
of things.
I don't know how many people are involved, but it's a lot. There were a lot of people.
Yeah,
involved.
there's no way. If any PA was on that thing for the full 6 months, I like applause to them because
No doubt.
there's no way.
Yeah.
No way.
You would know those guys.
Listen,
I hope they
making
got a bonus or something.
it's kind of ironic that we're talking about Kevin Costner and baseball and all that stuff, because like making movies is exactly like playing fucking baseball. You take some
Right.
swings and sometimes you hit it out of the park. Jurassic Park, Independence Day, those are universal, right? Like sometimes you make Waterworld and you go home with your hat in your hand and you try again next time.
Oh man.
I do think this. I don't like the movie, but I do think that this IP has a lot of potential. I just wonder if
Yeah.
it's too cursed. You know what I mean? Like, I wonder if it's just like there's so much bad press around it. It's like
Yeah.
even if you bring it back, like, would people even be interested? Like, regardless of how cool it could be, like, does anyone care? Like,
Yeah, because right off the bat, as soon as you say Waterworld, the first thing that comes to people's mind is Big Bomb.
right?
You
Like,
know.
oh god, yeah.
Bro,
I think-
Waterworld Under the Waves.
I think that if
is
you
like-
do the way that movies get reimagined now, where you kind of really shift the idea of the original basis a little bit more and make it more realistic to where we are now.
Right.
Oh,
where
maybe
we'll
like
be.
the start. Like, okay, you do Waterworld, but the beginning, like how it started with people like the ice caps are like melting. And like
Right.
people are starting to like build
Very
these structures.
slowly?
It's about society changing over into the water world.
I don't know. Like the world is
Yeah.
sinking. Yeah. Or
Y'all,
something.
I'm looking.
The day after tomorrow. Type.
How about like the year you start the year before the last bit of land
Right, yeah,
completely disappears.
yeah.
I'm looking at the.
So you got 1 year to get
Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
finished, and then
Yeah.
it's gone. And then it goes off. It kicks off into all that. That's
Yeah,
where
the
you'd have to
origin
start.
of the water world.
I'm looking at the.
I like the idea of Kevin Costner putting his gills back on and having sex with a fish.
And like I think you don't.
Shape of Water.
Sounds
Yeah.
Shape of
pretty
Waterworld.
entertaining to
I don't
me.
even know if you call it Waterworld. I think you like name it something different. Like you kind of separate yourself. And at
Maybe,
that
yeah,
point,
go a
then why
different
even do it?
direction.
Like
World of Water.
Kevin Costner's like, should we release the movie?
Yeah, yeah, he's against it. We already know
It's
that.
perfect the way it is.
I just
Wow.
wanted to say though, I'm looking at the crew here, and there are
Or melting world or something.
There's some people that definitely didn't get swapped out. Like
Oh, really?
the makeup department was pretty small, honestly.
Really?
And these people,
Wow.
they had one job, and it looks like they did it the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah, the body makeup by Diane Cummings. So Diane Cummings was there the whole time doing all that body makeup.
Wow.
That's probably what happened. Yeah.
I mean that's the thing. The core
Put my
crew
hands
is
on
gonna have
his
to be there the
belly.
whole time. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
yeah.
Wow,
but,
man.
man,
I guess if the cost can do it, we can do it. You know.
The cost gets to go. I mean, he was probably there like 4 hours a night.
I bet this came out of his mouth one time. I'm here every fucking day, so you gotta be here. They're like, dude, you go back to a mansion with a chef.
Yeah, but I mean, he was probably only there for like 4 hours a night. Like,
Yeah. By the time they drag that fucking flotilla out there,
that's what takes so long is like busting everyone to and from set.
You wake up at 4 a.m. and it's time to drag the flotilla, the 2-ton flotilla, out into the ocean. That'll probably be until 6 or 7 a.m. Then you got to rig it, set it.
Yeah.
That's probably noon.
And there's only like 4 hours of the day you can shoot for the lighting to be the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and then the weather got bad every night.
Well, and you said that weather too.
Yeah.
You said the weather.
Clouds,
Yeah, so you probably actually did end pretty early. You probably wrapped at like 3 p.m.
He's out there for like 3 hours a day. He's like, I'm out here every day. Some roasted assistant director who's got skin cancer now.
Yeah. I'm sure who was on the water for 12 hours were those captains of the fucking boats and the barges and
drinking
shit,
beer.
Man. You know, like the hair and makeup got fucking ran back into shore when they were wrapped too.
Most of the movie was shot on the trimaran. Again, there was no reason that had to be in the ocean.
Yeah.
There's no reason they couldn't have just shot that in LA somewhere.
Yeah.
Again, Drake, go spend a night on a trimaran and then say those blasphemous statements.
I agree. You gotta make it right.
Listen, once you've drank your own pee, it is, all balls to the wall. You just got to go all in.
I think you can do it on the boat if you don't do it in the Hawaiian Islands, way the hell over there.
Do it on Catalina Island.
You're even closer to shore in the mainland U.S.
Yeah,
is better.
the fucking thing rotates. They could have just as easily done it at Catalina. They had to go to
you
Hawaii.
just have to get one, like, it's just looking from one angle. Like,
But
again,
tell an 80s cocaine man that you're not going to Hawaii. It's like, what? No, damn it.
Again.
Kevin Costner's like, but Long Beach doesn't have Laird Hamilton. And how am I going to grow my bromance with my new stunts?
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have Laird. And also, Kevin Costner was like, yeah, but L.A. has my wife there. Like, I'd really like to not go there. I need to go to Hawaii. This was his whole plan, was to go to Hawaii and film a movie while he's doing this divorce, just to like take away from the sting a little bit. He's like, I know I'm getting a divorce, but I'm also like swimming in the water in Hawaii every day,
That's why he's like, you know what? I have to. Damn, this is genius. He's like, I have to make such a bomb that the judge feels pity on me at my divorce, so I don't.
It was,
oh my God,
to get out of alimony. It was all a scheme to get out of alimony.
That's why he spent $20 million on the movie, so he didn't have to give it to Cindy. And he knows he's going to make that back.
He's like, how much do you want to spend on your combination? 9 G's a night.
Yeah. Cindy's lawyer was like, "Where's that $20 million?" And he's like, "Oh, I just put it into the film, bitch. Try to get that back out."
I know this movie's not gonna do good.
I know it's not gonna do good. You'll never see that money.
Oh my God.
If I can't have it, nobody
Does
can
Kevin
have it.
Costner own any part of the IP rights, or is this all owned by Universal?
I think it's all. I'm sure he makes a lot of money on it.
Right, but like, if they want to do something, do they have to go through Kevin, or like?
I would.
How much does $20 million buy you as far as like IP and stuff?
I'm sure they could make it without Kevin.
You know what probably happened to avoid getting that money taken by the divorce? He probably put it into the project. The project's a flop. Universal, after the flop, probably paid him the $20 million back.
Yeah.
So she couldn't
Guaranteed
take it
investment.
because it was over the course of like this long time. So if they wrap that divorce before the end of the movie film,
Right.
that money's spent. I guess. I don't know. It all depends case by case, but it sounds pretty shitty, and it also sounds exactly like something he would do.
What does Dennis Hopper think about this movie?
He's dead.
I'm sorry. What did he think about this movie? Like, was he proud?
He is a one-eyed oil tanker pirate.
Yeah,
What do you fucking think he thinks of this
he didn't see this movie in the theaters. He saw it happening in front of his eyeballs. He probably never laid eyes on the final cut of this movie.
eyeball?
Yeah, eyeball.
What's that? Oh, one eyeball. Yeah.
Eyeball.
He said it was one eyeball. Oh my god, dude. Some of my favorite lines, by the way, Dennis Hopper. He says something like, "We got to keep an eye on it," and then he pulls his patch off, and dude, I'm telling you, the different movie that he was doing, he literally so there's a part where they have a rope tied around the machine gun boat, and they're turning it to where it's going to start shooting at their own men, which I don't know why the guy doesn't just stop shooting, but he doesn't. And so Dennis Hopper is trying to get the man to stop, and he's yelling, Chuck, can you hear me? He cannot hear him. And he goes, oh, maybe he goes by Charles. It's like, dude, you're doing a different movie, and I want in on yours.
Yeah, I want to see that movie. I prefer the Dennis Hopper movie. Yeah.
Maybe he goes by Charles. Like, oh man.
You think he comes out in character, dressed up, and is like, man, I should have eaten too much ice cream.
Yeah, you can tell Kevin Costner did not direct any of the Dennis Hopper scenes.
Dude. Oh, Dennis Hopper probably didn't let him near it.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, also he's too big of an actor to like take anything from Kevin Costner too. So
yeah,
like,
that's the reason he was the only one who was allowed to do what he wanted to do on the entire movie. Yeah.
It shows. It shows.
Charles. Oh, so funny. So funny. Anyway.
Well, all in all,
Waterworld.
I can't get up.
yay or nay? I mean, I give thumbs the fuck up,
baby.
man.
Watch Waterworld as soon as you possibly can.
I still think it's a good movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Absolutely recommended.
Jay, do we convince you? You still hate it?
It's been through so much stuff, you know?
Yeah, dude.
This movie is a sin against God.
I
Like,
think it could do a reboot, though. I think a miniseries reboot could really, like, break it through and make that a more unique piece, and then you would have
Let's
this
do it.
miniseries
Let's make
that
it.
would kind of, like,
Let's make it.
imagine going through Hollywood trying to pitch a Waterworld spinoff. like
Kevin Costner would probably have us killed.
Listen, I want Zac Efron and
Oh
Seth
my
Rogen.
god. Yeah.
And we're gonna get a trimaran and this time we're gonna go to like
hear me out.
Tasmania for
Hear me out.
months.
This time we're gonna get Daniel Day-Lewis as the Mariner, and we're gonna get Danny McBride to play the Deacon. You know, like.
I'm still waiting for Captain Nemo to fucking pop out of the water in the Nautilus.
the
Just
future of this,
Yeah, they all show up.
add some Jules Verne to this.
the
bitch.
future of this franchise is a video game.
They
Like,
all
you make a
show up.
game
Yeah.
based in the Waterworld. That way you can like fully explore the lore.
Cool.
Like, you have like way more room to explore.
Like this would be like a Red Dead
Yeah.
Redemption.
Yeah.
What if it's a super realistic version where you're just in the middle of the ocean until you die because you can't find anything because everything's just floating willy-nilly on an endless amount of water.
There would be those
Imagine-
people that just
Right,
can't find
right.
anything.
Imagine like you're a fisherman and you're fishing, and then this boat with Kevin Costner tied to it just floats by you.
Hey! Hey!
Do you think seagulls were like shitting on him and like landing and pecking while he was that far away?
One of the seagulls was related to a cameraman.
Again, like I said, now that we've gone through this in actual detail, I'm not saying that the production caused the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, but it wasn't there in 1992. It was there after.
I guess you could go to the sunken $20 million atoll that went down in that hurricane. You could probably visit it, scuba diving.
Oh, you mean the one that's thousands of feet down at the base of a
I have
volcanic
gills.
island in the
I
middle
have
of the
gills.
ocean?
I can go down there.
Okay.
Get some dirt.
Sure.
There's
You're fun with that one.
there's currents ripping through there. I'm sure it's been.
Should we
That
tell
thing's
the end of
gone.
this movie?
That thing-
Should we just spoil the ending?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, spoiler alert. So they reach dry land in the end, and it is Mount Everest. It's the tip of Mount Everest is sticking up out of the water, and that is the new dry land, which brings about a few questions for me.
Just a few. But
Oh,
go
shit,
ahead,
you cut out.
concern.
Right off the top here. So, good. You found a tiny bit of dry land on Waterworld. So is this where the entire world is supposed to live now? Like, are we going to repopulate this probably like 10 square miles of dry land and have millions of people living on this, like, like...
It's gonna look like one of those fucking wharfs at San Francisco with the goddamn seals and shit laying on top of it.
It's ultimately at some point just...
Or has it always been there, though? Because she's got
right,
the
she's
tattoo,
from
they
there.
know
So there's
about
also
it.
natives there, clearly. So we're going to go ahead and wipe them out immediately.
Well, I had so many questions. Why did they send her away?
I think it was probably in the bigger, longer, uncut version, like South Park. They probably were attacked by some sort of force, and they probably, like, Moses style, put her in the water.
Yeah, it definitely feels like there's things missing from this movie.
Yeah, she was somehow from Mount Everest, and now she got picked up by water people. Also, she's from Mount Everest, but she's like a white, blonde-haired child, like not like, yeah. But there's just a few questions about that.
Yeah, and also like as the world is like flooding, wouldn't people like rush to the only place that would like is tall enough to like not get like
They don't know about
like
it, man.
wouldn't there be like a thriving population?
I mean, you would think 2,500.
I love how Kevin Costner and his ethnic tendencies have chosen a blonde-haired, blue-eyed white child to save and repopulate humanity. Do you think there's any underlying things going on there? I don't know.
Maybe a little eugenics.
She's from the Himalayas or whatever.
Maybe a little eugenics going on here. Yeah, and then
Sounds
a little
fishy.
a little fishy is definitely the name of this episode. Also, so what? The little girl grows up and now she's gonna be like just railed by every dude on this little island to repopulate. Is that the plan here?
There's
as
only 3 people, right? Like
Right.
the old
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
Right.
the mother figure, and the little girl.
Right. It's just not. It's a very bleak picture that they have painted here of salvation. you know?
Yeah. And Kevin Costner leaves, and probably rightfully so. He's
Oh yeah, he left. Yeah, fuck
this.
this. He left to go be a sea person.
I thought it was really funny too. Like he's like, I don't feel good here, and the little girl's like, it's just land sickness. We all have it. I was like, oh yeah. Imagine if you were
land sickness.
born on water constantly, it probably would feel weird to step foot.
You're like trying to stand up. Like, oh.
Step foot on something stable would probably feel very weird.
You got to get your land legs. This is Land World.
And I'm also curious, like, how fast did the water melt? Because that plaque of Mount Everest is just sitting there on the rock. Mount Everest is a fucking mountain covered by like a shit ton of ice and snow. That would have had to like flash flood and like land directly in the middle. Like, I'm just so confused.
It very much is written by a man on cocaine. Like,
yeah, it absolutely was.
Tell that to an 80s cocaine man. Oh.
That's what I think that the origin needs more
Definitely,
expanding on.
definitely. Yeah, basically.
I think everything needs more expanding.
Basically, what I read was the script came out and someone pointed out to Raider, the guy who wrote it, that if all the ice caps were to melt in a tragedy like that, the water wouldn't actually raise up like as high as you made it. It would be like 100 feet or something. And he's like, but we're gonna do this,
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I was like, I don't think the science is there, but whatever. It's a movie.
I mean,
wait, is that guy still around or is he dead?
Raider?
Yeah.
Let me see. He's alive. He's alive, baby.
We need to track this man down.
He's
is he still working?
He wrote The Last Legion.
If we track him down, we better be sure not to have him listen to this first.
I say he knows what he wrote.
Wait, I say he's still alive. Let me make sure.
I think we make just one too many cocaine references to be considered polite.
Oh god.
Yeah, I think he's still alive. No way. He was a segment director on Dog Whisperer. This can't be him. No, but it says writer on Waterworld.
That sounds exactly where I thought his career was going to be.
It says he's the writer of Waterworld, the director of Hired to
Not
Kill.
Caesar Milan.
Go ahead, Dev. Wait a minute, dude. I think he's a segment director on Dog Whisperer. Waterworld was one of the 4 things that he wrote. Oh my god. He wrote for Escape to Witch Mountain in 1995, a TV movie. He wrote Waterworld. Then he wrote Universal Studios Theme Parks Adventure, a video game about the Waterworld ride. And then he wrote The Last Legion. And now he's on Dog Whisperer.
Yeah, I mean, why would you ever let this man work again? Like,
They did?
Do you know what you get to do, sir? You get to go play with dogs all day. That's your job.
Wow.
Like that's a great series. We should interview like people in the business who just fucked up and have some shitty
Like I
job.
shouldn't have done Waterworld.
like, this is a career killer. Like, we would never let anyone. Like, I'm surprised. Did Kevin Costner not work again for a while after this?
Oh no, he
Oh,
no,
really?
he was huge. Yeah.
Even after Waterworld?
Oh yeah.
But where is the writer for Wild
Right,
Wild West?
right,
Yes.
right.
Yes,
right.
Like, there are so many of these,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Jeez, that's crazy, man. I mean, I had to like
career
make sure
killer,
of this. Wow.
Fun story. Do you guys know the spider history from Wild Wild West? It's a Kevin Smith story. He tells
No, let's end on this.
All right, real quick, I'll give us a gem to wrap it up with. So Kevin Smith got hired to do script writing for the Superman movie that Nicolas Cage was going to star in. And the producer on that Nicolas Cage movie was this guy who got into producing by being the hairdresser of somebody famous in the 80s. So he had like no experience and he just happened to like know the right people and fell in. And he's a producer on fucking Superman with Nicolas Cage, right? And then he tells Kevin, he brings Kevin Smith in because Kevin's going to direct it and write it. And he was like, all right, Kevin, in the end, we need Superman to fight this big radioactive spider. And he's going to have lasers. And Kevin's like listening to him. He's like, what the fuck? Like when he walks into this dude's mansion, the assistant of the producer tells Kevin, he goes, look, he's going to pitch you an idea about a spider. Don't listen to it. Just nod your head. Tell him you're going to do it, but you don't actually have to do it. And he's like, what am I walking into? So he listens to this thing, how like, he goes on for like 3 hours, how they need this spider to be the villain in Superman. And he's like, no, that's fucking dumb. It's planet Krypton. There's no spider on Kryptonian. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? So fast forward, that movie doesn't get made for a bunch of different reasons, right? It just never happens, whatever, falls apart. Fast forward like 3 years, 2 or 3 years, and he is the producer for Wild Wild West. And guess who the villain is in Wild Wild West? A giant mechanical fucking spider. Yeah. And Kevin Smith said he was like in the theater watching Wild Wild West. And he was like, no fucking way. He saw that spider lift up over this ledge and was like, there's that goddamn spider. That's fucking spider. Fuck that spider.
Damn,
So,
Kevin Smith, man.
Producers and people in Hollywood.
Absolutely. That shit always happens.
Why is that? Why is that the
fixated
hill
on
you're
the
willing to
spider.
die on? Like I'm getting a giant spider enemy in the movie.
This guy was fascinated by spiders. It was like his favorite animal. He thought they were like the apex predator. He was like in love with fucking spiders. So he wanted nothing more than to feature a giant fucking spider in one of these big blockbuster movies.
Congratulations,
He
sir.
did. He made that happen.
Yeah.
And no one talks about it again.
If spiders were the size of dogs, I'd be
Oh,
terrified.
dude. I would move to Waterworld if that were the case. No spiders on the ocean, baby.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Waterworld is just Titan after we get there.
Sorry, this keeps going on. I just don't want to end. The little girl. What did she grow up to?
Yeah,
she's still working.
She's still working. She's
Okay.
out there. She's on.
She was in that. She was in the Pedro movie. The
Oh shit, she was
Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, she was the girl who sold
Yes,
the bracelets.
she was Napoleon Dynamite's girlfriend.
What
Is
is
she
her name?
scarred for life? Like, does she
Stacey,
talk about this in
Rachel?
interviews
Oh,
still? About the trauma of this movie?
She's just as scarred as every other child actor in the 90s, I'm sure. She's just way more tan than the rest of them now for the rest of her life.
Oh man.
Yeah, she was on Veronica Mars. She was she did a
terrified
big
of
run on Grey's Anatomy
Okay.
in 2012. True Blood, Bones.
Yeah. She's been in a bunch of stuff, especially
Yeah, she
recently.
works. She works.
Cool.
But that's it, y'all. That's Waterworld.
Incredible.
Incredible.
I am so
I bargained
happy
for.
that this happened. Thank you, Drake. This was such a fleeting idea at first, but goddamn, once we got into the weeds of this, fucking maybe our best episode.
Yeah,
yet. Man.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, Drake was just like, let's do an episode on that. I was like, yeah, it was perfect. After James Cagney, it's Waterworld.
Yeah.
It was fun. I feel like I've been on the ocean all day.
Do we know what we're doing next?
We set the bar very high.
Yeah. we started the day fishing. And
There
now
you
we're
go.
on Waterworld.
There you go.
Having a
Perfect.
good time.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. You're welcome back anytime.
Yes, absolutely awesome.
Hey, man, before we close out, do you want to plug anything? Is there a place people can go and find you?
Max Okun Photography. You can find me there, website or through social
Awesome.
media stuff. But mostly doing still work
Cool.
right now.
Awesome.
And I'm just heading back out to California to
Yeah.
do stuff there. And I'll be back
Very
here
cool.
real soon.
Very cool.
Florida, that is.
You can find me on Instagram at Drake Cummings, on Twitter at Drake_Cummings.
Go ahead, Dave.
Sailor_dev. Check out Abracadabra Films. And also, since we're talking about Waterworld, if you are ever in a post-apocalyptic scenario and you need to find food, download the MyFish app, because this episode is brought to you by MyFish.
Nice.
Boom.
Nice.
Saving Kevin Costner in the world, one
Yes,
Pisces at a time.
indeed. The MyFish app. You can find me floating out into the middle of the ocean on a flotilla that just got destroyed by a hurricane. And that's been...
Strapped to a mast.
That's been Film History. The history of film.
Well, so here's a question. In that situation, in this Waterworld situation, what would be your niche? What's your thing that you do best that you're like fighting for to try to live off of?
What's that?
You hear what I said?
No, what'd you say? My bad.
In this Waterworld apocalyptic situation, what is your forte? What do you think would be the thing that you do best that keeps you like on top of what your gang or on top of the water? You know, like what are you doing? You know, are you fishing? Are you trying to find dirt?
I'm going to be the king
What's
of...
your thing?
I
the
agree
king
with
of
you, man.
mooring
Find the
cleats.
closest gun with a bullet in it.
I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is just like a really salty old sea sex worker, you know? But I mean, that's even that's pretty rough. Like every boat that comes along, you're just going to have to like do what you got to do, you know? But also, hopefully they don't murder you.
As long as you don't have gills.
I get so motion sick. I would be
dude.
so miserable in this
A
world.
lot of people did making this movie too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
That's a good question, though, Max. I'll get back to you on that. That's a good question.
Do you have an answer?
Oh man.
I would be fishing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd be trying to get the best fish to feed whatever and make money doing that. That'd be my thing.
I'd grow gills and go down to
Then
the bottom
everybody
of the
would kind of have to leave me alone, and then they would have to barter with whatever they got, and I would have all sorts of stuff of my own.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
At least I'm selling fish, but I can get whatever I want of your stuff.
Yeah. I would definitely try to find a place to settle like a village, like a fishing village.
Yeah.
You know, find something floating out that's big enough.
Yeah, like a hollowed out oil tanker with all
Yeah.
your friends.
That actually was like scrapped for parts, you know, in the 90s, but whatever. It went to, I read where the Exxon Valdez went to. It went to like a private collector. Some dude owns it now as like a historical.
He's some fucking oil billionaire.
Yeah, probably. He's like, look at what we did. Look at what we did once. We dumped millions of pounds of oil onto Hawaii at one point. Or Alaska. It was Alaska. Yeah.
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 And then get this, the taxpayers, they paid for
They
it.
paid for it. Isn't that hilarious? Yeah, we're sorry.
It's like his trophy.
We're sorry.